Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 37, the last episode from 2022 of This Week in Geek. My name is Ren, and I am this time joined by a good friend of the show, fellow critic, my good friend in real life, who just, full disclosure, also happens to be a channel member over here. Manuel, how are you doing today?
I'm very, very good. Thanks, my friend, for inviting me. But since we weren't able to be together in person for the Christmas tradition, we'll make the Christmas tradition online.
Sure. Virtually. I'm glad to have you
Exactly.
here. And guys, it's the last show of the year. We've run the gambit in 2022, and there's still a big video list to come out. It's coming out later today. Don't worry, I'm editing through that. But we don't want to have this just be a regular show of geeks of the round of this week in geek. Plus, there wasn't really any big news this week. The week between Christmas and New Year is pretty dead for big news breaking out of the movie sphere. So we want to dedicate this show to you guys and dedicate it to answering your questions. We're still going to go through our weekly ranking as is tradition on this show, but instead of covering a big news topic through the bulk of the show, we're going to dedicate it to all your questions which you've been leaving on the community tab on my channel. There's the thumbnail. I don't think I put up a thumbnail today, but anyway, there's the question. You know where to leave them. So if you haven't left it, but you want to get a question in there and hope we answer it, we'll do our best to get to all of them. But if you want to guarantee your question is answered, you can either support us through the tip link in the description or through Superchat. And we thank you all very much for that in advance. All right. For the weekly ranking, I'm going to get us started. And I've been watching a ton of stuff, particularly because we didn't have a show last week as it was Christmas Eve. And I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you're all preparing for New Year's for 2023. So I'm going to run through mine pretty fast. And in last place, I have Corsage. I have this film on a certain list that already went up yesterday. Um, so I've said my piece on this tedious, laborious watch. I don't want to think anymore on it. So thank you very much. On top of that, I'm going to have not a lot on top of that, but I'm going to have the amazing Maurice. Um, Not worth a watch. I watched this out of sheer dreadful curiosity, because it has Emilia Clarke, and I will watch anything she's on, even if it is only an animated movie. And it's a random mix of all these fairy tales, and it's pointless and it goes nowhere. Do not watch it. It's a Sky original for a reason, even though it's being released theatrically here in Portugal for some reason. On top of that, I'm going to have the Whitney Houston biopic, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Very superficial, very highlight really like here's a concert of hers, here's a big moment in her life, here's another concert, here's another big moment, and it just goes through all these steps without being insightful, going in depth, and just allowing the characters and the world to be fleshed out. So not good, not good at all. Uh, Over that, I'm going to have James Gray. I think it is James Gray. Armageddon Time. It's a movie about his childhood where essentially the message is racism bad. And if you didn't know that before, well, this is the movie for you to watch. So I didn't take too much away from it. Over that, I'm going to have All My Friends Hate Me. It's a black comedy, suspenseful thriller that happens to not be funny or suspenseful or thrilling. Um, I've it's one of those I very much felt like I wasted my time watching it. Unfortunately, but it's got one familiar face here and there. It's got some nice sequences. It's got ideas that I commend them for, but it just didn't come together at all. On top of that, I'm going to have Studio 666, the Foo Fighters film. It's an SNL sketch that goes on for almost 2 hours, and it's not that funny, but and by the way, I'm someone who's not a Foo Fighters fan. Not that I don't like them, I'm just completely indifferent. And as someone who is not a Foo Fighters fan, it's really cool to just see them hanging out, being these over the top versions of themselves. That was fine, but the film never justifies its runtime. On top of that, I'm going to have The School for Good and Evil. Finally watched this, and it's a regular bad movie for the first two thirds, and then the third act comes in, and it's fucking awful. Um, but the ideas were promising. There's like a show here that could be really good on Netflix. Funny enough. So I don't know. Let's hope a few years from now they get a new creative team and try to give us another version on this because it's a series of books too, I believe. So yeah. Let me just check if I missed anything. Oh yeah. On top of that, I didn't miss anything. But on top of that, Your Christmas on or Mine. This is a really charming Christmas film that runs out of steam really quick, but the idea in itself, the premise is fun. Um, but it happens to be very generic. And the first half is far superior to the second half. This one is on Prime Video. You don't have to go to the cinema. So if you want to give it a watch, I'd say give it a chance, but it's not anything spectacular. Uh, on top of that, I'm going to have Black Christmas, the 2006 version. I had only ever seen the 2019 version, which is much worse. And I certainly didn't like this, but I also don't get the hate that it's become so mythological for this film. Like everyone hates this film. I think it's got some really nice camera work, some suspenseful thrills, some really cool lighting effects, and nice score. But it's also not a really good story. It doesn't really come together. I didn't find myself particularly rooting for anything, and I found like the reveals behind the killer and what is really going on to be kind of oh, okay. Just very indifferent to it all. Uh, what's next? So we got the 2.5 stars. We're going now to the 3 stars, and next I have The Lost King. This is a really charming British watch. It's a comedy drama based on a real story. And there's enough compelling elements in this. You have Sally Hawkins as the lead, so it's going to be super compelling. It's a nice, quirky British tale and a very pleasant afternoon watch. Not anything spectacular. It won't elicit the biggest of emotions, but it's also not really bad at all. I had fun watching it. Will I ever watching it again? Maybe not. There are just other things that I prioritize personally. On top of that, I'm going to have a film that used to belong on my list for comfort movies, and that is Love Rosie. This has Lily Collins, which very much like Emilia Clarke, I will watch anything she's in. It has Sam Claflin, who once I found out lived very near me when I used to live in a student accommodation in London. And it's just so lovely. I just love these 2 together. I think they're immensely charming, they're immensely charismatic, and it just feels very naturalistic. However, the first half is also superior to the second. It has all these quirky British sensibilities that I love in my comedies, in my dramas, has this charm to it. But the second half, it's not that it's bad, but it doesn't allow certain big moments to linger as much as the first half does. The first half lays this incredible groundwork for honestly a 4.5, 5-star film for me. And then the second just rushes a bit through things and becomes a little bit more cliche without really earning it or doing anything fresh with those ideas. So it's still a very strong 3.5, a very strong B, because I really enjoy this film. I really enjoy these actors and these characters, but it just doesn't hold up quite as well as I originally thought. Over that, I'm going to have Fall. Finally watched this one, and I really wish I had seen it on the big
Earlier.
screen. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. No, I think that I also watched it a lot of later than
Yeah,
when it was originally released, and just the premise alone, I'm like, well, this is going to be one of those movies that you know they have a great premise and then they don't do anything with it, and this one was
exactly.
a huge
That's what I feared as
surprise.
well for the longest time. I certainly think it runs out of steam in the last like 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
chopping like 10 minutes off of it would have really helped. There's a plot, a subplot that is introduced and quickly forgotten about. So I really didn't think it added anything to the film. And there's a reveal. Let's put it that way. There's a reveal towards the end. And I'm like, okay, this is going to split audiences. And I am on the negative side. I don't think it ruins the film. This is still very high on the ranking, as you can tell. But to me, those thrills, the characterizations for the characters are really well done, and the suspense that you continuously get with every single moment. It creates the sense of claustrophobia, this sweat-inducing panic. It's just a really good watch. I wish I had seen it in theaters, but even if you
Yeah,
didn't, if you want to watch it at home, it's still a really, really solid watch. On top of that, I'm going to have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I'm a big fan of the original Puss in Boots movie. It's my favorite out of the Shrek franchise. I know, unpopular opinion, because he's my favorite character in the Shrek franchise. But even so, I was not excited for this because I thought it's way past its expiry date. This sequel should have come out a long time ago, and it manages to outdo the original film. It manages to outdo anything the Shrek franchise in terms of character depth, in terms of emotion, visuals alone. It's the best thing that DreamWorks has put out within this franchise by far. And I think not only is a great movie in it of itself, it's a great adventure. It's swashbuckling, it's pulpy, but it kind of revitalizes this dead franchise, which is in it of itself the Mount Rushmore of DreamWorks. This is their prime franchise. Like I love How to Train Your Dragon way more. I love Kung Fu Panda way more. They're better movies overall and better franchises, but this is like the face of DreamWorks. So they have something really special with this film. So let's hope they keep going and bring us back to Far Far Away. If that's the name, I don't remember if that's
I don't even know.
the name. All right, and now we're going into the 5 stars. I've given 2 5 stars in the last few weeks of watching Christmas movies. The number one 5 star, my second place, is Mickey's Christmas Carol. This is my favorite version, my favorite adaptation of A Christmas Carol ever. Uh, just 30 minutes that you completely get um, the emotion, the messages, the themes. It's all splendidly well done. The animation still looks gorgeous to this day. Classic 2D. I miss this. And it's just one of those films I go back to every single Christmas. And of course, the number one, the greatest Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard. It's not Christmas until you see Hans Gruber fall off Nakatomi Plaza, and it's so good. It just holds up. I'm not going to tell you anything new that anyone else has not said about Die Hard. Just it's fucking Die Hard. It's awesome. And that's my weekly ranking. All right, what do you got?
I also got Die Hard, but I'm not even going to mention it anymore. Everyone mentions Die Hard in this week. It's like if you don't mention it, something is wrong with you. Either that or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, which are kind of the two main marathons that people do, I guess.
To me,
But
The Lord of the Rings is more like it is within this week, but it's more a New Year's thing.
fair enough. Actually, I used to have a tradition where during the actual New Year's, we used to watch like Return of the King and try to
Mm,
time it to the point where the Rohan charge times with
uh,
a
with Midnight.
yeah, with midnight. We never actually managed to time it exactly. That's why we stopped. But this week, I actually having the whole family here means that time to watch movies isn't the biggest one. Actually, my weekly ranking of playing video games in Nintendo 64 might be larger than the one in movies. But I did a lot of rewatches and just catch up with a few films. On the bottom, I have See How They Run.
Ah, nice.
It was okay. I didn't. I was actually surprised at the time why not many people talked about it. I mean, just by looking at the cast and the type of film, I would have expected to, I don't know, have a huge buzz around Twitter and everything. But when it came out, no one really talked about it, and it kind of went into the oblivion of 2022. But I actually thought it was really good. Bodies comes next, another catch up that I wasn't able to watch when it came out because A24 distributes films in a very questionable manner.
Yeah.
But I liked the first half, and then when the thing is revealed, which is something that you kind of think to yourself, oh, is this like, are they going to do this? And then when they actually reveal what they're doing, you're like, it's one of those points that you're going to divide the audience, right? Some
How
people are
did
going
you feel? On which side did you fall?
to. I actually don't know yet because that's the thing
Okay.
about catching up with movies that you're just watching to try to catch up. I didn't even I didn't think about it too much.
Fair enough.
But honestly, I actually feel like I would be slightly on the positive side
Okay.
just because at the time my reaction maybe wasn't positive because I was thinking of, oh, they're going to do this, and since they did it immediately, the whole predictability thing comes into mind, and but I still had a lot of fun with it. That's the thing. Now that I look back into it, I'm like, I had fun with that entire thing. So maybe, of course, it raises a lot of questions and that I don't even want to process or think about it, just because I enjoyed it for what it was. It's silly horror fun. I'm a sucker for like one location films based in one house, one apartment, or whatever it is. So just from that standpoint, I would be happy with anything that film did. Um, then Glass Onion, I watched it twice, one time alone and then with the rest of the family. It was cool to see. Basically, there's that one moment in the film where the thing happens that kind of hints heavily at whoever the killer or killers are. And it was funny to see like that scene, and I instantly move my eyes off the screen to see if anyone notices, which was funny. But yeah, I liked it. I still prefer the original. I wish Ryan Johnson would have done something more with the characters because I feel like
Oh,
I think like every character obviously has this sort of opportunistic personality where like Dave Bautista character says, they're all holding on to the golden titties of Miles Brown, right,
mhm.
and but all of them are kind of fall on the same lane of getting that message across of opportunism and vanity and all of that. And I wish that maybe would have explored something more with at least one of the characters. I feel like all of them kind of, and it was purposeful, obviously, but I don't know. I was expecting something more, maybe. But I mean, I still had a lot of fun with the mystery, as Ryan Johnson always does. I just feel like the first one was maybe also because it was the first one, and we were kind of getting into it as newcomers. Now we're kind of like we know what his vibe is, we know how his humor is, so maybe it didn't work as well as the first one, but I still highly enjoyed it. I give it a B plus. It was more than enough fun. My family also enjoyed it, so that was one of the good watches this week. And then I rewatched two movies. One that I really wanted to rewatch because I saw it at LFF with you guys, The Banshees of Inisherin,
Nice.
that everyone around me really loved, like to the point of I saw many people giving it 5 stars. It's on the top 10 of many, many, many people, probably in yours too. I don't know, but
No, it is in my honorable mentions, but it did not
yeah,
make
I
the top
saw,
10.
I saw it. Yeah, it's on your honorable mentions. Yeah, mine too. But yeah, I
I
just
didn't
wanted
really
to.
love it though. It's just it was a great year for movies, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I wrote in my top 15 actually of this year, that 2022 is undoubtedly the best year of this new decade. Not that there was much
Yeah.
competition,
Yeah.
but
So far at least.
still, yeah, so far. But yeah, so really one of the best years in a while. And yeah, I just wanted to rewatch it because I really liked it during LFF. But I wanted to maybe try to see if the tonal shift that happens midway through the film, if it affected me as much as it did LLFF, because that was my kind of not an issue, but that was kind of left me a little bit without knowing how I truly felt about it. So I watched it again, and yeah, I mean, I still love it. I like it even more now than I did at the festival, but just not enough to get into my top 15. But I mean, it's one of the best recommendations that I have this year. Martin McDonough is just amazing. And yeah, I mean, if you like his movies, I don't see how Banshees can disappoint you in any way.
Yeah.
And finally, I rewatched a movie that I know that you think it's very sweet and all, but not that special. But I do think it's special, which is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On,
Oh,
which
okay, fair
is
enough.
which is my favorite animated film of the year. And I can't. It's one of those films, just like After Young. it's one of those films where I watch it,
Oh,
I
another
really
one that I do not
yes.
get. But Marcel Shell, I like. After Yang, I think it's a bad movie, but that's another conversation.
Ah,
Go on.
let's
Oh
not.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Let's
New
not
Year's
get
Eve.
into
Let's not argue.
that.
But no, with those two movies, for some reason, I really enjoyed them when I first saw them, and then especially with After Young, because I saw it early in the year, I saw it in Sundance. As the year went by, I couldn't get the score out of my head. I just couldn't. And don't you dare say something bad about the score in After Young.
I honestly, I couldn't say anything bad about the score because I do not remember the score. It
I don't
didn't
care.
stick with me at all.
It stuck with me for the whole
Gun
year.
to my head, I was like, I don't know the score, man. Just kill me.
I love the score, and with Marcel, it's kind of the same way. With Marcel, not really the score, but they are like a couple songs there that Marcel sings, and there was just this one just kept like ringing in my ear, and I just had to watch the movie again, and yeah, it just confirmed to me that it was my favorite animated film of the year because I was between this or Pinocchio, which I guess it's one of the two main. I guess most people are in between those two movies. I guess, at least from our peers and friends. But yeah, it just confirmed to me that it wasn't like recency effect or the whole being it sweet and all that. It was really it's the type of film that I like because I feel like it's one of the hardest films to pull off. Those like contemplative. We don't really have a plot.
That's true.
You don't really have something to. Oh, this is what we're going to do. This is our story or whatever. Marcel feels like a very. This is Marcel. He's a shell. He looks at life in a very simplistic form, and he picks up complex topics that we as adults struggle to figure out even today or our entire lives even. And this little shell just says one sentence and you're like, oh my god, shit, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those films that either you just like you think it's sweet and it's a really nice sweet film to maybe show to the family. For me, it really impacted me in a positive way, and that's why it's on my top 15, and it is my favorite film of the year. But Pinocchio is also on my top 15, so it's not like it's not like they're too far away from each other.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, and then I don't. It's not really a ranking, but I'm started watching the last season of His Dark Materials, which is a season that which is a series that I wish I don't really know what could they do better to improve it because they have the right actors. I do think that they have some moments in the series that are really well accomplished writing wise, but then I don't know, it never picked up. I guess it never made me feel, oh my god, this materials is coming out, I need to watch it right away. I mean, I watched the first episode and then I kind of stopped and I didn't continue.
Same.
But I'm now.
I totally did stop and never continue.
But no, I watched the first one of the last season, and now I'm going to finish it, obviously. But I remember being a lot of very upset at the fact that they heavily marketed.
Are you just so I know? Are you a fan of the books? Did you read the book?
No, I didn't read the books.
Okay. Just
but
so
the first,
yeah.
but the first film, I do remember watching it and feeling like there's a lot of potential here. So when the series came out, my girlfriend's brother read the books and he was very into it, and he felt like they were maybe going to do something more faithful to the books, I guess, and maybe it did. I actually don't know, but still, I feel like they are rushing a few things. I do think the series is ending before they wanted, I guess. I don't think they had planned 3 seasons. But yeah, I mean, I was saying I was upset at the fact that they marketed heavily as, oh look, James McAvoy in this show, and it's been 3 seasons and he's been in like what 2-3 episodes maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they heavily marketed it as like, hey, look, James McAvoy.
No, I remember the marketing. I just because I only watched the first episode and I didn't care for it. I didn't know that.
Oh wait, you watched the first episode of the first season and then you stopped.
Of the first season, yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay.
when it came out, like, oh, let's try
Yeah,
the show
okay.
because it's me. It's fantasy. I'm going to
Yes,
give
of
it a
course.
chance, and I just didn't care for it. So yeah, I saw him in that first episode. I just didn't know he wasn't actually a big part of the show.
Fair enough. No, I see. He shows on the first episode, then he shows at the last one, and then on the second season he shows in one more, and that's it.
Three, three
But
episodes.
and the worst thing is the worst thing isn't even that. Oh, James McAvoy doesn't show up. The problem is
Mhm.
his character is like vital to whatever's going to happen, and especially at the end of the second season, there's the final episode ends with a cliffhanger with him, and I'm like,
Oh,
how did he get there? What did he do? Like, I'm interested. I'm actually invested in his character, but they never show anything about him.
all right.
but yeah, I mean, but the show has been. I still think it's a good show overall, and I guess I don't know how fans of the book are receiving it honestly, but I do think it's a good show. I don't think it. I've seen some criticism that I think are a bit too harsh, but maybe it's my fantasy bias setting in, like Rings of Power, maybe. But yeah, yeah, that's my weekly ranking.
All right. Devin Scott shares his weekly ranking. Number 7, Super Sentai Time Ranger, one of the best Super Sentai series and one of the best Power Ranger series. Number 5, Friday After Next. Number 6, Friday After Next. Number 5, Batman and Robin. Number 4, Halloween Ends. Number 3, Last Christmas, underrated movie. Number 2, Man of Steel, and number 1, Batman v Superman. Obviously, for me, Man of Steel would be at number 1, easily.
Masterpiece of Steel, as Ren
Masterpieces,
usually
you
says.
you know it. Nathan Madigan, weekly ranking. Number 5, Bardo, mix on it. Number 4, Smile. Number 3, Glass Onion. Number 2, Muppets Christmas Carol, holiday favorite. It's my second favorite version of the Christmas Carol. Number 1, A Christmas Carol, George C. Scott as Scrooge. That one I've never seen. I've never seen that one, and I've never seen. There's a recent one with Guy Pearce that's supposed to be super dark. That's from Stephen Knight and all that. The guy who did Taboo. It's on Disney Plus. So if you want to watch that one, like it was a 3 episode miniseries. So if you go on Disney Plus, it just shows up and as 173 minutes long because they just put the 3 episodes all together as a feature, a very long feature. So I never seen this George C. Scott version, and I've never seen the one with Bill Murray. It was, the movie just called Scrooged. Never seen those two. All right. Next up, what do we got? Luis Luciano, weekly ranking. Elvira, Mistress of Evil, Mistress of the Dark. Number 6, Carrie, 1976. Number 5, The Suicide Squad. Number 4, Hobbs and Shaw, Head of Suicide Squad. I don't agree, but I respect that. Number 3, Elf. Number 2, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And number 1, It's a Wonderful Life. A Christmas classic, to be sure.
Which I never saw, and I don't know how.
I I honestly do not. I'm not shocked because it's not. Even though you are very much a movie guy, you're into the sphere,
Mhm.
you're a fellow critic and all that. It was never a thing here in our little country. You know, like I only
Yeah, it
I only
isn't
ever
really a
heard of it when I
tradition.
got
Yeah,
into the sphere. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
I saw
But
someone
it's a really
saying
good
that. I saw someone also confessing that they didn't see it, and I was like, oh, people aren't too shocked at this, so I can say it too.
yeah. I only ever saw it. Must have been. I don't think it has been 10 years since I first saw it. So yeah. Weekly ranking from our good friend Eric Thorpe. Number 1, Goldeneye. Number 2, The White Lotus. Number 3, The Fablemans. Number 4, Shrek 2. Number 5, Shrek. Number 6, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Would be way ahead of the Shreks if you ask me. Number 7, Babylon. It's way too low, brother. It's way too low. I'll tell you right now. It's way too low. Number 2, Spider-Man 94, the best Spider-Man anime series ever made. Weekly ranking again, continuing. Number 9, Puss in Boots. Number 2, the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Treason. I still gotta watch this show, the Charlie Cox one. I did. I haven't started because I watched and I forgot to rank it. I binged all of the second season of Alice in Borderland. Really good season. A finale. Let's say that it had a finale. Um,
Some shows don't
which
have a finale, so
it's very much like I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you watch the show, you get to the ending of the second season. If they cancel it, like the show is over, the story is told. But there's something there that if they renew it, it's a good starting point for
Okay.
whatever may be coming next. Number 2, Shrek Forever After. Number 12. Okay, you have all the numbers together, so I get confused sometimes. Number 12, Shrek Forever After, which is the best of the Shrek movies. Unpopular opinion. Number 13, Shrek the Third. Number 14, Strange World. Not worse than Shrek the Third. Come on. And I didn't like Strange World too much. Number 15, Witcher Blood Origin. I haven't started this either. I want to. I'm curious. It's fantasy. Of course, I'll watch it. But again, just didn't have time. Uh, More weekly rankings from Sodian285. Number 5, Werewolf by Night. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Number 3, Moana. It has been way too long a time since I've seen Moana, so I gotta rewatch it soon. Number 2, Hawkeye, and number 1, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Honestly, I would put Moana at number 2, and I would switch Werewolf with Guardians, but
Same.
I very much agree with your ranking. All good things. All
Yeah.
good things. You only watch good stuff, my friend. All right, and that is it for weekly rankings. If anything comes up, just type in weekly ranking and then what you watch, this like everyone else does, like this, and we'll read it off. But with nothing else there, we're going to go into your questions, everyone. We're going to go into the community tab and do our best to get to all your questions before the show is done. But if you want to guarantee we answer your questions, just consider the tip link or super chat for us. All right, we start with good friend of the show, G Kobe P. What's a film that's possibly going to get a lot of love at the Oscar and you're rooting against it? This is easy for me. Do you have one?
This is also easy for me,
Okay, I
but
want to
it's
see
not
yours
but
first.
it's not the same as yours probably. Well, wait.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Repeat the last part of the question. That I want to see it getting
No, no, you're rooting against, like against it
rooting
to get.
against. Okay, fair
You don't
enough.
want it to get love, if it does get
Elvis probably.
love. How
I
dare
I
you?
said it.
Definitely not the same as mine.
I said it. I'm not going back on it. But
It's After Sun. It's After Sun.
After
After Sun
Sun,
does
I
not
haven't seen it, so I can say
not
it.
the love
But I
angle.
do.
Af-
I do see like all of our friends giving it like five
It's
stars
a
and A plus.
nothing movie. Nothing happens. Nothing gets you emotionally invested. Nothing elicits. Nothing. It's a nothing movie where nothing happens. Where there's no story being told. I'm
But wait,
sorry.
you didn't like it, or you didn't just love it
I'm
as
very
much?
indifferent. I'm completely
Okay, in
null
the
and
middle.
void
Okay,
to it.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
There
enough.
are really bad movies that you don't forget because of how bad
But
they are. There are really bad movies that are so bad they're good, and then there are movies that leave you completely indifferent.
and
That's
do you
After
think
Sun.
After Sun is actually gonna get Oscars like Oscar
I
nominations and
can
all that?
see it like Chico UPS possibly going to get love,
Fair enough. Yeah,
and I hope it doesn't. I don't see it like as a front runner or anything, but I do see a slight chance it might.
fair enough.
So I am subconsciously rooting against it.
Yeah, of all the like certain films, I would say Elvis probably. Although I'm not exactly rooting against it, like on the technical categories or whatever. Um, but I am rooting against it, like on everything else. I
Austin
couldn't, I
Butler.
couldn't. The Austin Butler is fine, but I don't think he should win. You know what?
Um,
You know who should win, probably.
And for me, it's either him or Frazier.
Exactly. That's mine.
But those
Like
are the two. I'll be happy
100%.
if it goes to either of them. Honestly,
I wouldn't be sad if it went to Austin Butler, but I would have probably looked at it as he's winning it because he's portraying Elvis and not because he's doing great performance. Like Rami Malek
oh, I
won with
disagree.
the other one, and
Okay.
I don't know who was the last one to do a biopic and won.
The
Uh,
Whitney Houston one, and she's great despite the film, but she's not like Austin Butler, Rami Malek.
but people haven't been talking about have her being nominated, have they?
No, 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 not at all. It's
Okay,
coming
fair
out
enough.
way too late. They didn't campaign for it probably.
And no one is talking
It's
about it.
actress and supporting actress is really sad. Like you're going up against Kate Blanchett this year. You're going
Yeah,
to.
it's
It's gonna
packed.
be one
Yeah,
of those years. If she doesn't win, I'm gonna be shocked. Like shocked. If she doesn't win, like Carrie Mulligan for Promising Young Woman, and
yeah.
then Frances McDormand won. That was a shocking one. So yeah. Um, Jigo EP, what are films that on a lot of people that are on a lot of people's worst of the year list, but you guys didn't hate as much as everyone else, or you actually liked it? Um, and then a few people have gotten Thor: Love and Thunder in theirs, and I don't agree. You're actually going to see Thor: Love and Thunder on a certain list that I'm going to put out later today, and I'm going to leave it at that. I saw it on one video on someone's worst list, and I know someone. This person doesn't do video, but they just named like their worst movies of the year, and they had um, Thor: Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange. And I'm like, and I know for a fact they gave like 5 out of 10 to Thor: Love and Thunder and 6 out of 10 to Doctor Strange. And you watch way too good movies to have a worst of the year
Yes,
list. So,
your garbage bin
uh,
is golden.
yeah, you're doing good. You're doing like that person. I was like, you're doing good. So yeah, that's definitely for me. It's definitely Thor: Love and Thunder. I haven't seen anyone have the Sun yet, but also another movie you're going to see on the list. I'm going to put up later today. Um, But yeah, those are gotta be the 2 for me. Those have gotta be the 2 for me, 100%.
For me, Thor: Love and Thunder is also one of them. Despite not loving it as much as you do, I think I think
That's
overall, every year this happens. People put like these highly anticipated big blockbusters on the
oh, yeah.
worst of the year list, and are like, really, come on. But yeah, I is the video that you talked about a YouTuber, the
Yes.
one that you saw? Okay, probably the same one as the one that I saw.
And
But
I literally all the other films that this person have on their list, I'm like, "Yep, yep, yep."
I also
Like, "Come on."
Thor: Love and Thunder will be
Which
one
is
of
fair.
them.
It's the beauty of the subjectivity of
Yeah,
it.
of course. I would say I didn't like it, but I can't say I hated it, which is probably maybe an unpopular opinion, which is Pinocchio, not the good one, the supposedly the bad
Okay,
one.
okay, okay.
I
Yeah,
didn't
it's not
like
on my
it.
worst list
I
either.
didn't like it, and I'm not
Okay.
even in the middle. I'm like below the middle. I think I give it a C minus, but
I
I
give it a C
just
minus too.
I found a lot of other movies much worse. I actually think
Oh, yeah.
this year was the year where even if I wanted to do a worst of the year list, I don't think I would do it just because it would mean that I would do like the friend that you were talking about. I would have to put like C minus and on my worst of the year
Yeah.
list, and I don't really look at movies that I give C minus that.
Yeah, as
I
do
think I
I.
just avoided a lot. I saw that you and Josh Barton were talking about that you watched 200 plus films this year, and I went to
200.
your
Well, I'm going to. I haven't finished Lyle Crocodile, but I'm going to finish after the show, and then I have at least one more movie to watch. I'm not going to be able to watch Shotgun Wedding before the end of the year, but I'm
I
probably
wonder
going
why.
tomorrow, and I'm still going to count it as a 2022 release. So,
I wonder why
um,
you can't watch Shotgun Wedding before the end of this year.
because I have a ton of videos to edit and then a ton of parties to go to, a ton of dinner with friends. Um, by the way, so peek behind the curtain. Yesterday we were supposed to meet up to grab some dinner and all that, but I actually already had scheduled a dinner with friends. And I told Manuel I couldn't do it. We only met up with everyone else at around 7. So there was a chance, perhaps, that maybe we could have, even if it was for a real quick drink, we could have
Yeah,
like met up around downtown and all that.
fair
Um,
enough. I
but
forgive
yeah, it
you.
just happened. I ended up having dinner at around 9:30. So
But
that
yeah,
was a chance, unfortunately. Yeah.
going back to the question, yes, Pinocchio probably is one of them. I was trying to think of another one, but from what I've seen in other people's lists, I
Like
either
I've seen
fully
people
agree
have
with.
Halloween Ends as well, and I'm like that was a really bad movie, but not quite worst of the year for me.
I was trying to
And then
think.
you
No,
have Corsage,
yeah,
which a lot of people have at 4 stars, 3.5 on their best of the year list. And I'm like, I don't know what you watched. It's the
didn't see
After
it.
Sun, but even worse.
Actually, yeah, that's
Um,
what I was going before. Like, of all the films that I noticed in your letterbox list that you've seen and I didn't, like the vast majority of them, I was, lucky to have not seen them. Probably.
yeah, I watched a lot this year. I didn't quite break my record. I'm going to miss my record by one, or in this case, by two. If it's by one if I wanted to tie my record. It's by two if I wanted to surpass my record.
Put
Um,
them at the same time.
Yeah, I'm going to finish
That was
Lyle
there.
Crocodile, and maybe I find 2 other movies I haven't seen this year. All right, Chico EP, who's the MVP of 2022? Which actor or actress you felt had the best year, and vice versa with actor you felt had the worst year? Good question. Hmm.
Actress. So best year, I'm gonna consider like have more than one movie or TV
Mhm.
show, and for that I would have to go with Jenna Ortega on the actress side, or
Good shout.
even Sadie Sink. Although yes, even Sadie Sink, because I saw one movie that probably no one watched it, which was Dear Zoe. You want a movie to
Dear
watch?
Zoe. I
You
was
want a
going to
movie
say
to
From
watch?
Sophie,
See?
but no, completely off.
No, Dear Zoe, which is fine, but she is amazing.
Mhm.
So Sadie Sink and Jenna Ortega would be probably the two. Although there's one we're missing. Oh, Mia Goth, obviously. So
Mia Goth
I
is a
would
good runner-up,
say,
but I think I'm going Jenna Ortega. I'm glad you brought it up because she's been
mhm.
in the conversation. I've said her name when it comes to these conversations, but I was totally blanking on her for this topic. So good
I
shout. Thank you for bringing her
I
up.
think I
It's
would
gonna be
probably
her.
go. I think I'd probably go with Mia Goth in terms of quantity, quality, because I haven't seen Wednesday, so I can't really. But I'm sure
Wednesday
Jenna
is
Ortega
good.
is
Jenna is
really good in it.
fantastic in it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are
Um,
probably the three main actresses.
actors. I There's not one that like stands out for me, honestly. Um, So I really do not know. Um, and same goes for worse. Like who had the worst year? Because like uh
Tom
Jamie
Hanks.
Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis popped into my head because of Halloween Ends and how her franchise died, but she is also in Everything Everywhere All at Once,
Yeah.
so she definitely didn't have the worst year. So
Tom Tom
it's
Hanks.
tricky.
Tom Hanks probably had the worst in terms of not that he has been giving bad performances, but the Elvis
Oh, Pinocchio!
performance. Yeah,
Oh,
that
that's the
performance in
entirety of
Pinocchio.
Tom Hanks's performance in Pinocchio. Just so you know.
Like both his two performances in Pinocchio and Elvis were very divisive, right? Some people loved
I
it,
don't
some
know. I
people
don't know
hated
what
it.
people are talking about when it comes to his performance in Elvis. They're smoking crack. He's really fantastic.
I
He's
liked it
really
actually.
fantastic in Elvis.
I actually in
I watched the
Pinocchio,
boy
not really.
become a superhero.
A white man.
He's white.
He's
He's
white,
white.
exactly. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Actor is a bit harder, I guess.
You know who should have had the worst year is David O. Russell. And if you don't know what that means, go to Google. Um, you know what? Colin Farrell's a good shot for actor. Colin Farrell had
Colin Farrell.
Batman Banshees After Yang, which I do not like, but he is very good in it. And most people do like. And he had something else. There's a fourth. There's a fourth in there somewhere. Maybe it's a show, and I'm forgetting. But yeah, he has a lot of stuff this year. All right. Um, Master of Gaming. Are you excited for the Expendables 4? I'm curious. Not excited as of right now. I really like the first one. I love the second one. Third one is fine, and it's been a long time since the third one. So I don't know. I'm sure I'll get a kick out of it, but as of right now, I wouldn't count myself as excited. How about you?
Probably the same as you. I remember when the first one came out, I was really excited, but then I don't think I was ever really invested in that franchise. But I will rewatch them before the fourth one comes out.
Oh, same.
But I can say like if I would have to do like my most anticipated movies of the year, I wouldn't put Expendables 4 there, especially because I'm not
Yeah.
expecting it to be a great film, but it might be a fun, entertaining film. I don't know.
Master of Gaming, do you like January horror movies? Not usually. They're usually not good, but like I don't remember. Like The Grudge in 2020 was a fucking hilarious watch. Not a good movie, but it's absolutely hilarious. And then you have Insidious: The Last Key, a movie I thought was fine. Honestly, I didn't hate it as much as anyone else, but usually like January horror movies, they're bad. 9 out of 10 times. You know what? I might watch Pray for the Devil. It's easily accessible.
Oh,
It's one more movie to watch. I only leave. I will have dinner at home. I'm only leaving for the party after dinner. Like I'm going to crank in these movies to watch, man. I'm going to try my best, and that
beat
and
the record.
I'm not committing to it. I'm just saying, you know what? That there's one thing I can watch if I choose. How about you? Do you like January horror movies?
It depends
usually.
if you count Sundance, which
Fair enough.
which
That's
isn't
fair.
a which is a which is a very sad topic to mention today. But
Oh no, I'm
I'm
indifferent.
fine with it.
You can mention it. Like it's
No, but it depends. On Sundance, I do catch. I mean, on my top 10 of this year, or top 15, sorry, on my top 5 of this year, I have a horror movie that I watched in January on Sundance.
yeah.
But January, outside of festival, obviously, I don't think so. At least I don't remember any January film that I loved, horror January film that I loved. The Grudge is probably the lowest I've rated a film since 2020, probably. Because it was
Yeah.
released in
It,
2020. Yeah.
it's down there. I would
It's down
like
there for
if
sure. Yeah,
The Grudge had come out this year, it would still be in my top 10 worst of the
it
year.
will definitely be the worst that I've seen
It would
this
have
year.
missed Corsage and maybe a few others.
And you have The Nun 2 come out this next year, so you never know.
The Nun is not that bad, I will say. It's a bad movie, but not like top 10 worst of the year.
I actually rewatched it 2 more times just because
Why?
my partner, it's I don't know.
She doesn't deserve the All right. Master of Gaming. Is Plane with Jared Butler and Fear 2023 horror film your most anticipated film of January 2023? Plane? Absolutely. I don't know why, but Jared Butler has a hold on me. That guy comes out with an action movie, I will be there. I already have my tickets booked. January 17th, I will be watching. So January 18th, there will be a review. Fear? I have no idea what it is, honestly. And for my most anticipated films of January, I would have to like look at a list. And this year, so Monday, tomorrow, there's my most anticipated movies of the year. But Monday and every month, I'm going to start doing shorts at the beginning of every month to tell you like my most anticipated films for each month. So look out for that new piece of content. How about you? Are you looking forward to Plane? Are you a Jared
I
Butler boy?
am.
Yes.
I am, but I didn't like Geostorm, which I think was the last one that he did.
No, Geostorm is fucking awful. But
Okay, thank God.
Greenland was quite
Oh
good.
no. Okay, yes, I did also didn't like Greenland.
Oh no! You're breaking my heart.
But Greenland, I was okay. Geostorm, I was like, that
Oh
was
yeah,
terrible.
Geostorm is awful.
But it was I think what January film I was most anticipating. I'm checking the letterbox list. If Missing is in January, which I can see right
Oh
now,
yeah.
if it's in January, that's definitely the one because Searching was I think my number 4 of the year when it came out, 2018. Number 4 or 5, something like that. I
Mhm.
freaking love that film. So anything that comes after it, I'm gonna watch it like 100%. And that's probably the big one. Although there's also Megan, which I honestly have
Oh
no
yeah.
idea.
I got my press screening for that January 10th.
Me
Indeed.
too. I have no idea how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna be there.
When
And
I go back to London on the 9th, and I got the Fablemans on the 9th, Megan on the 10th, Babylon on the 11th. Just
that's a
day
triple
day
feature.
after day.
And then I also have here
Banger after maybe banger after banger.
and then I have Alice Starling with Anna Kendrick,
Ah,
which is
yeah.
interesting. But
Yeah.
we actually
It
have
looks it
some,
looks interesting.
yeah, we have some interesting films in January, at least more than the usual.
Mhm.
But we also have the usual January films that I mean, Plane has to come out in January,
That's true.
and Megan too. I mean, it's like if it can go either way.
I
Let's
mean,
see.
it's the writer of *Malignant*. I don't know how you felt about *Malignant*, but I was on the
I
right track
really
with that.
liked it. I really liked it. I enjoyed it so much. I know you didn't, but I freaking loved it.
I did not. All right. Uh, Lady Aaron, Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve to you. What are you most looking forward to in 2023? More movies. Babylon, Ant-Man Quantumania, Aquaman 2, Not the Flash. Just
Indiana
had to get that
Jones,
in there.
Dune,
What was that?
Indiana Jones, Dune.
Indiana Jones, Dune Part 2, Oppenheimer, just a whole
So
lot of
many
movies
films.
and a whole lot of shows we're going to get. Loki season 2. Very excited for that.
Secret Invasion actually is the one that I'm most
Secret
interested in.
Invasion, yes.
That's
Yes.
probably the
So
show that I'm of the MCU. It's the show that I'm most interested on.
it's up there for me. After that trailer especially. All right. Um Lady Aaron, if you had any dishonorable mention, what would it be for each of you? I don't think about dishonorable mentions, so I'll have to look at my letterbox. And I did have my 2022 movies ranked list made private, so it wouldn't spoil my lists. Um, like dishonorable mentions, Choose or Die was awful. They slash them. The what's it called? The Paul Schrader one I watched at Venice. Master Gardener, Me Time, Master, Blonde, Amsterdam. Those are fine.
Master. Oh, I liked it.
Yeah, Master was not good. I did not like that. It's a Sundance one, right?
It is. That's why.
There you go. There you go.
I think the one that comes to mind again. I don't want to repeat myself, but Pinocchio. Just because it's not on my worst of the year, it wouldn't be on my worst of the year list. But I would give it a dishonorable mention because, especially when you get Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and you're like, he clearly had something that he wanted to do differently, and a new message and new themes, and I have been a supporter of Disney's live action remakes. I think they get way too much crap just for the sake of it
100%.
of that, just for the sake of them
Yes.
being remakes, and
Louder for the people in the back.
people instantly go in with the negative
Pinocchio isn't even the worst one.
True. I feel like I agree with you, but I'm not remember which one are you talking. I'm like, oh yeah, thank
Looking Glass.
thank you.
So bad.
But yeah, but it felt like the one remake that I couldn't refute the whole argument. Oh, they're doing this for the money and blah blah blah. That's kind of, it felt like
Every movie is made for the money.
yeah, exactly. But it really felt like they were like, let's just do a live action film with Pinocchio and not really have anything new to say. So every time they do that with a remake, especially with a Disney classic, it hits a bit harder than other remakes, I guess. But yes, Disney live action remakes get way too much crap, and most of them are really good. And I do think some are superior to the original. Let's move on.
Pete's Dragon, Cinderella,
The Jungle
Book.
Book. Yeah. The Jungle Book, no, Jungle Book.
Dominic Scott, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, my friend. Which movie in 2023 might turn out to be the most controversial received ever, or just in 2023? Honestly, and I'm not saying the controversy will be justified, but my guess is The Little Mermaid.
Oh, that's cheating. That's obvious. That's already controversial, even it didn't come out.
Again, I'm not saying the controversy is justified. We know where it comes from, and it's bullshit, but it's there. Unfortunately, it's very sad, but it's there.
Ignoring The Little Mermaid and maybe...
Yeah, ignoring The Little Mermaid? I don't know.
Ignoring The Little Mermaid, I'm going to risk it and say Oppenheimer. Why?
Ooh,
because I feel like there's been a very small wave of, we don't like Christopher Nolan anymore.
Yeah,
kind of,
since Tenant particular.
it's been like there's something going on, and I feel like Oppenheimer, like for the last two movies that he did, Dunkirk and Tenet, people have been really complaining about the sound. I personally, I haven't had those issues now, but I do get that a lot of people are getting those issues. And Oppenheimer being Oppenheimer, I feel like it could be one of those films that I wouldn't be surprised if it got to a very divisive reception. But that's a risk. That's kind of a gamble. It can also be a Oscar-winning movie and all that. But if I wanted to make a gamble, I would go with Oppenheimer, maybe.
All right. Lady Erin, what is the saddest celebrity death of 2022? For me, it's Jason David Frank. Easy. Just everything about it was really sad.
Just what? Repeat the question, sorry.
What was the saddest celebrity death of 2020?
Okay.
Jason David Frank, just suicide, 49, leaving so many kids behind and all that. Just, yeah, that was the saddest for me. Plus, I grew up on Power Rangers, so he was a lot of, very much one of my childhood role models. Yeah.
I don't think I have one, not because I didn't felt them, but I guess I try not to think about it too much. I think the question for me, the best question for me would be which celebrity that ever has impacted you the most, and Chadwick would be one of them. just because I didn't expect. It's
Yeah,
not something that you
that's
think
fair.
about. Like, oh, it's a
No,
celebrity.
no, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know him.
I
Why
get
the
it.
hell should I care? But it kind when that happened, I was like, well, shit, I actually feel something. So that
It
was
was
probably
one of those that we on this time zone we found out the news as I personally did as I was waking up, and then I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
this is a very poor, very poor taste joke, and then
yeah.
it wasn't a joke, sadly.
I thought that
Uh,
probably the best, not movie related, but the worst celebrity that hit me very strong. It's not really celebrity, but it was a YouTuber that was a singer on The Voice, and I followed her, Christina Grimmie. I followed her way before she
oh, I
went
know
on
who
The
you mean.
Voice, way before she went on The Voice, and I followed her for ages. And when I remember a friend of mine messaging me the news of her death, and then they sent me a news from 9gag, and I was like, oh, come on, this is just stupid. And then I actually found out it was true. I was like, oh my god, it genuinely hit me. I was like tearing up, and I'm like, oh my god. That was the first, I think, experience that I had with a celebrity death really impacting me.
Um, Lady Aaron, what are some of the shout out to Kevin Conroy, very close second for me. What are some of the biggest movie news that came out in 2022, made you very happy, and the news that either made you angry or sad? That's a lot of questions within one, but yeah, like Bob Iger is one of the ones that just makes you smile, makes your heart happy.
Agree.
The very, it has aged very poorly, but for a while, for about a month, the news that Henry Cavill came back as Superman, and on the other spectrum, the one that made me sad and angry, it's the news that Harry Cavill, after all, it's not going to be Superman, and they're going to reboot everything, blah blah. So yeah, those are a few for me. How about you?
Probably, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it was this year, which was the announcement that they're going to continue with the Planet of the Apes saga. They,
Okay.
they, they shared the
I mean,
image
there
this
was
year, right?
news about it this year. Yeah. So
But they
you're
shared
not.
the
I
still.
don't know
Yeah,
if. Yeah. The still was from this
I
year.
feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was this
Yeah.
year. Time flies by. I don't know anymore.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a
But that
blur.
either way, that was probably one of the best messages for me, one of the best news for me, just because I freaking love the trilogy that Matt Reeves built.
One of the greatest
Uh,
trilogies of all time.
and then you said them. I was happy with Henry Cavill returning, but him not then the opposite, him not coming back, and everyone else not coming back because apparently James Gunn is going to do a reboot, and it all points to that. That's kind of a mix because I wish Henry Cavill would stay and Gal Gadot too. But on the other side, I do think the DCU needs a reboot, and I am a firm supporter, or
But
not
at
supporter,
what
but I
cost, Manuel? At what
I
cost?
don't know, at the cost of getting new actors. But I do think they should. I mean, I haven't been literally the only two films, well, three now with Black Adam. The only three films I haven't given a positive review on the DCU have been Black Adam, and then Suicide Squad and
Okay.
BVS, which I'm not going to talk
I was
about.
like,
But
okay.
but like the point is, until Black Adam, the only two movies that I didn't really like on the DCU were one of the first ones, So they have been on the right track, in my opinion, or they have been like doing some okay or good movies. But I do think maybe a reboot with James Gunn at the helm. I think we could have like the next 10 years going to be very interesting. At least I'm not expecting them to screw up again, or I hope they don't screw up again.
Let's hope. Let's hope. It's been 10 years of screw up. 9 to be fair. Lady
ten
Aaron,
years.
what in your opinion, what in your what in your opinion would you say was your biggest accomplishment in terms of your YouTube channels for 2022? And what can we expect in terms of your channels for 2023? You obviously don't have a channel, but please do adjust the
Not
question
just the
to
question.
your writing. For me, probably Venice. Not that I was accepted as for the channel, but I still went there. I still did reviews for the channel, and The Whale is my most watched video ever. Um, and I gained a ton of subscribers from that. I reached 4K because of that. And obviously, we're not going to reach 5K subscribers before the end of the year, but
You never
that's the
know.
next. That's the next step. That's the next step, man. So yeah, hopefully that. How about you?
For me, it's probably writing, maybe getting to write for first showing, just because it's an outlet with a lot of engagement and a lot of views, and I think it was the first time that I wrote for something as big as that,
Mhm.
and has been like a really good partnership with Alex, who is the founder, and yeah, I mean that was definitely the thing that I didn't expect to accomplish in 2022, and I did. Everything else, just more simplistic stuff like getting to 2K on Twitter and all that. Like, I feel like I'm getting to more people, or I'm reaching out to more people. Going to LFF is probably the biggest one because I wanted to go to an
That
international
was a fun
festival
time.
for the first time, meeting everyone. Everyone was super nice. And yeah, I mean, I will definitely go back every single year. I don't care how, I don't care. Even if I have to walk there, I'm going to go to LFF every single year, even if I have to drop Venice beforehand, just because I really value the camaraderie and all that
Yeah.
environment in
Um,
LFF.
I will. You know what?
Say,
I'm not gonna say what I was about to say. I'm not gonna say what I was about to say. So, yeah. What movies? Okay. What movies came out in 2022 do you hope get a lot of nominations and a lot of love for the upcoming Oscar season? I'm not going to answer this question because I have a certain best movies of the year 2022 list coming out later today. And essentially, those are the movies that I would nominate. The top 10. Obviously, I did the top 12, just so you all know. But the 10 would be like the movies that um, and like two of those movies, I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna get any love at all. So just put the number 11 and 12. Just
yeah,
transpose those onto the top 10. So yeah. How about you?
I can say mine. Everything
Yeah, for
Everywhere.
sure.
I really wish that Everything Everywhere would get a lot of things, but I don't know how it's gonna do. I don't imagining winning Best Picture or anything, but or even getting nominated at this point.
I
I
can
don't.
see it getting nominated.
I can see getting nominated, but I don't know yet. I'm still unsure about it. But Everything Everywhere is my number one, so that I do know, and I'm like 100% sure. I know this is weird, but I'm 100% sure that Top Gun Maverick is going to be nominated for Best Picture because they need one blockbuster there to, I don't know, get attention for the views. I wish the Batman would get something, but I highly doubt it. Even cinematography wise, I think they're going to snub him. Um,
I mean, they already
but
snubbed the score
yeah, um,
because the Batman is my second favorite score of the year out there right now.
ooh, I don't know what my favorite score of the year is. I have to think about
My
it.
favorite score,
But
you haven't seen the movie, so
ooh,
hint, hint.
I didn't. Okay.
You haven't seen it.
Um, I would say smaller picks or smaller wins. I would love for After Young to get nominated for best score. I would love for
Ooh,
Marcel. I would love for Marcel the Shell. I'm going to ignore that you said that.
it was for
I,
After Yang, just to be specific. It was for After Yang, not for Marcel.
but the score, I would love After Young to be there. I would love to have Marcel the Shell we choose on. I know he's going to get nominated. I wouldn't be too sad if Pinocchio wins. I would get very, very angry the if the best animated film goes to any movie besides Pinocchio or Marcel the Shell we choose on.
Or Dragon Ball Z.
No,
That would be mine, obviously. But even so, it didn't make my top 12 at all. So yeah.
it shouldn't.
Um. Let me just catch myself. What's the next one? All right.
I shouldn't.
What are some 2022 movies that ended up being a huge surprise in a good way for you, and why? Um. And which 2022 movies were your biggest disappointments? For me, I will have a biggest disappointments, biggest surprises, and most underrated, underseen video tomorrow. A few shorts along with my most anticipated movies of the year list. So you can wait for that. By the way, thank you everyone for voting either on Twitter or on the community tab. Thank you for voting that you wanted to see those videos. So those videos will be up tomorrow. How about you?
I was checking my list. There were a lot of surprises this year.
Yeah,
I didn't expect Scream to be as good as it was. It's on my top
good
15,
shout.
and I freaking loved it. I never expected it to be as good as it was. More movies that I was not highly expecting something, and it was really good. Prey. I never expected Prey
Yes.
to be that good. And again, another top 15 movie for me.
Okay. It looked
uh,
good, but I didn't
I
expect it to be
didn't.
that good.
Do you want me
Yeah.
to say the thing that people are afraid to say? I think it's the best film in the whole Predator franchise.
Ooh, bold. I don't agree, but it's the second one. So
I know you don't agree. I don't care. Pray for the win. Actually, I want to see Prey winning at the Oscars.
that'd be cool, honestly.
It would have been cool.
I did get it.
What's her
Yeah,
name?
I did get to watch it in a theater. That was a press screening.
Oh,
Thing.
I didn't. I wish I would have watched it in the theater. Bros, not as I expected to
Nice
have a
shout.
lot of fun with it. I didn't expect to have that amount of fun
Yep.
with it. It
Good
was
shout.
honestly one of the most hilarious experiences I've ever had in the
Yeah,
theater.
that was a good watch during our fest.
People were
Everyone
like,
laughed. Yeah.
then of
My
all
policeman. I'm kidding.
actually jumping to disappointments, my policeman wasn't a disappointment. It was as bad as I expected it to be. But speaking of disappointments, I had a lot of not I have a lot of disappointments with horror films this year that were
Okay.
overhyped. Or I'm not going to say overhyped because I don't like that word because it feels like everyone else's opinion doesn't matter or whatever. But I did saw a lot of hype across like our friends and all that, for the Black Phone, for
Yeah. Black Phone I definitely
Smile,
was securely positive on, but I certainly did not love it.
yeah, for Smile, for Barbarian, and all those. And the Black Phone, I thought it was okay at best. Smile, I liked it, and I was going to love it, except for the last 10 minutes, which I hated it. Barbarian
Which
was
we
the only
already
one.
discussed.
Barbarian was the only one that I was like, okay, finally a horror movie that people hyped, and I can get fully behind it.
Yeah.
Smile, I still liked it a lot, but Barbarian, I think, was the only horror film that people hyped, and I was able to get into that hype. But yeah, disappointments would have to be the Black Phone and kind of Smile, even though I gave it a B. And I don't know. Fall, you talked about Fall in the beginning. Fall was a really
Yeah.
good surprise. And yeah, I'm sure there are a lot more throughout the year, but those are kind of the ones that I have here that
All right.
I guess impressed me.
Um, if you guys did some kind of awards for your channel, what kind of awards would there be for movies each year?
Best stunt
Uh,
work.
Best stunt work. I don't honestly for I would personally do just the regular kind of awards, the awards the Oscars give, but the correct ones. uh, give it to the correct movies.
Exactly.
I would I would have to think about it, but maybe there would be space for best. I would certainly do best ensemble, which the actors Oscars don't do, but I believe that the Critics' Choice
Do they do? Yeah.
do. So I definitely do that. Um, because of of the movie climate we live in, just like to be cheeky and funny, I would do a best cameo um,
Hmm.
for the entire year. So maybe something like that. But generally, I would just give the same kind of awards.
Yeah, I would do the same, but I would have probably best stunt work, best vocal performance, like best animated
Nice,
vocal performance,
nice. I
and
personally wouldn't do best stunt work because the point of it is not to see it. So to judge it on like what I just me personally, not saying you shouldn't
Mhm.
do it. Um,
Mhm.
so I personally wouldn't do it because of that. But best vocal work, nice shout. I would do that as well. Totally.
Best vocal work. And although it's some this one already other ceremonies do, but best breakthrough performance, just because I feel like
Nice.
there are a lot
I
of
like that.
people
Yeah.
showing up and maybe they should deserve. I feel like there are a lot of breakthrough performances that if the actor was already renowned, they would get nominated, but since they're
Yeah.
unknown, they have to get there. But so yeah, I think a category for that would be would be good.
All right. Disappointments. Video games. What did you say was the best video game that released in 2022 that you guys have managed to get your hands on? And why? Obviously, I'm not a gamer. I say this time and time again. Like I played the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. I played God of War Ragnarok, and I played Pokemon Scarlet. Off the top of my head, those are the games I played this year.
You
Like,
haven't finished Ragnarok, right?
I haven't finished. I haven't
Yeah.
finished. No. Um, honestly, out of those three, the only one I finished is Pokemon Scarlet. So, and I'm already playing Pokemon Violet. I got it for Christmas. Yeah. Hang on. Why is it
You
running away?
cheat.
Right here. Right here. Hang on. There you go. I chose Quaxley this time. But yeah, those are the three. So, what are the best games out of those three? I enjoyed all of them. So I don't really have a basis to rank them. But how about you? Are you a hardcore gamer?
I'm not a hardcore gamer. I wish I would play more games, but because I have a desktop computer and I don't have a Xbox or PlayStation, I can't play like Last of Us and all that. But it allows me to answer this question with a little bit of a cheating aspect, which is the best game was probably Spider-Man because it was remastered for
Nice.
for computer. I actually don't know if it was released this year, but Miles Morales was released now in December, so I'm gonna play that next. And
It's good. It's short, but it's good.
I don't think I've played any other game really. I played Jedi Fallen Order a few last year, I think.
Good one. Already
Um,
pre-ordered Survivor.
I know,
That's
yeah,
gonna be
I'm
my
gonna.
first game of
That's
the new year.
what I'm gonna play too. But there are a few games that I would love to try. But I don't know. Let's see. Horizon Zero Dawn and all
Yeah, I
those.
haven't played those either. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
Um, Nathan Holton. Yeah. Do you think John Cena and Jason Statham are returning in Fast X? I would assume so. They were in the last one. They're alive by the end, so I wouldn't see why they don't return. Uh, do
same.
you have any thoughts? Yeah. Um, Thoughts on Adam Sandler and Brad Pitt upcoming Netflix film together? I don't know anything about it. This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
Adam Sandler and Brad Pitt.
And Brad
I
Pitt. That's a
I
combo.
I made my 2023 list a few days ago, but I added the films and I didn't check
Yeah.
every single one. But I'm sure it's probably there.
Nathan Holton, thoughts on Captain America: New World Order leaks for the plot plus Jessica Chastain. Um,
Jessica
As far
Chastain
as
is in the movie.
everything that there's rumors that she's being
Oh,
eyed
okay.
for a villainous role, and at this point, like everything that came out this week, it looks like everything and everyone is happening in this film. You would think they're talking about Secret Wars, but no, they're talking about Captain America 4. Um, so I don't know. I'm taking everything with a grain of salt. I'm taking everything like as a possibility, but I'm not giving like any weight so far to anything. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts? Did you see anything about the
I
plot?
didn't see anything. I'm avoiding everything as usual, but I am very excited for the film.
But essentially, the leaks that came out suggest it involves Tiamat, the not the stillborn Eternal from Earth,
Oh, okay.
and that island. Everyone is going to
Mhm.
want to take ownership of it and claim it as part of the U.S., part of whatever else. And that's going to generate a new world order, and that's the title of the film.
Ta-da!
And he's gonna be made of adamantium. So there's our new metal for the MCU that's gonna then give way to the Weapon X program for
Blah
Wolverine
blah
and
blah.
the mutants. Da, da, da.
Yada
All right,
yada yada.
yada yada yada. Lady Aaron, what is the piece of entertainment news that is not celebrity death in any way that shocked you the most in 2022? Bob Iger. It's got to be.
Probably that one, yeah. Just because
It was
it's
so sudden. It wasn't like I talked with Zach about this because it wasn't like there's rumors that Bob Chapek
exactly. It's just
leaving
happened.
everyone like it, boom on a Sunday, like on a weekend. Um, of all things, like it's just happened, so it's got to be that. And it was a shock in a good way for context. To
Yeah.
be
When it comes to
um,
like unexpected stuff, that was definitely the most unexpected stuff to happen.
Nathan Holton. As of now, what do you think is who do you think is the favorite for? Oh, what do you think is the favorite for Best Picture and Best Actor? So for Best Actor, we debated it already. It was it's either
Those two.
Brandon Fraser or Austin Butler, and I'll be happy to see either of them take it. They both deserve it. Can you imagine if it's a tie? It's been a while since we've seen a tie on the Oscars, and to my
I
knowledge, we've
don't
never seen it on
remember.
the big categories.
Mm. I
Um,
never remember seeing a tie.
there
What
was
was
a
the last one?
tie. It was like for editing or for sound editing or for sound mixing, and it was in 2012. I remember this because it was Mark Wahlberg and Ted presenting the award. Um, so it's
And
like
they did
10
that
years
this
ago
year.
or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think it was Skyfall and something else. So it was either 2013 or the year. I believe it was that. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Uh, so for best actor, those two. Best picture right now, and I'm not saying I would give the award to this, but right now I'm feeling the Fablemans. I'm feeling the Fablemans or the Banshees of Inisherin.
I actually don't know. Because I haven't seen the Fablemans, but I have seen a
That's fair.
lot of talk for it.
Are
Uh,
you going to be able to catch it before leaving?
b- Not before leaving, but I will
Ah,
catch it on the
okay.
first week of January, basically. But it's either that
Oh, so it's out
because
over there.
yeah, because
Or-
it comes out in January. I can see it on my computer, but I prefer to wait.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
care.
That's true.
I
I was
don't.
about to see it on my computer until I got the
Yeah,
invite.
I have no issue in like watching it like in the second week of January and be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna change my top 15, and I change it, and
Fair enough.
that's it. But I I don't know. I wish it would be everything everywhere. So I'm gonna say everything everywhere just to make sure it's. Maybe I'll give it good luck. I don't know.
All right. Nathan Holton, where do you think Avatar: The Way of Water will box office will end? Currently 1.1 billion. I'm going to keep my guess that I made a few weeks ago. And say very high 1.6, 1.7. But like, if it has the Maverick run, and if come April or May it's still in theaters, sure, it's gonna
2
surpass
billion.
2 billion, which I've been saying it's not gonna get there, but it's gonna get close. It's gonna do very well. Right now, I'm going to say still 1.6, 1.7 around there.
I'll
What you
probably have the same guess. If it does the run that Maverick did, it will probably get to 2 billion. And I wouldn't be surprised they try to force it to
think?
that,
100%.
especially if in the next few weeks they're able to get to
Well,
1.6,
I
1.7 quickly.
You know what?
But
I'm going to say it's not going to get that run because they do have Quantum Mania in
yeah,
February, and they do not want to cannibalize themselves. Um, but I will say, still up until February 25th or something, because it comes out the end of February, so they still got quite a bit to go.
time. Yeah,
By the way, GGOP, thank you for reaching for that. Skyfall tied with Zero Dark 30 for sound editing. Um,
thanks.
and it was Mark Wahlberg and Ted, Ted the Bear presenting
Yeah,
the award, which is really funny that out of all the fucking presenters, those two present the tie.
I wish they would
Uh,
do a third one.
they're doing a
I wish
show, which I'm not very
they're doing
excited.
a show.
Yeah, they're doing a show. All right, Lady Aaron. Since I know that you guys listen to some music scores, what, in your opinion, would you say is the best score of 2022, and why it's Babylon? It's
I haven't seen Babylon.
like
I can say it.
no competition. Justin Hurwitz is a fucking genius. He does not miss. That is easily my favorite score of the year, with the Batman close behind. But what is it for you? What do
I
you got?
wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if when I watch Babylon it becomes my favorite score. But I'm checking my Spotify list that I always do with my favorite tracks of the year, and I really like the score. Does TV shows count? If TV
Sure.
shows if TV shows count, then Rings of Power it's a really good one
Nice.
for me. But I really
House
like
of
the
the
score.
Dragon deserves a shout for me,
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
opinion.
I do have a
And Nicholas Bertel's work in Andor.
true. Yeah, all those TV shows have really great scores. But I would say, when it comes to movies, I really liked Prey's score after Young 2. Marcelda Shall We Choose On, I like the songs. Um, Top Gun Maverick. You have no idea how many times I heard one of those more epic tracks that like ramp up to
100%.
something.
I always go back to the man, the legend, touchdown, like the fight
Yeah,
sequence,
me too.
essentially.
But yeah, and then after Young, the Batman 2, and finally the Northman. I also have a bunch of tracks here.
The Northman deserves a shout. Thank you for shouting it out.
I
I
also have.
just rewatched it this week because my father hadn't seen it, so I'm like, I'm going to show you the Northman.
And just for fun, I have some tracks from the Sea Beast here, which out of all the animated films,
Hmm.
it actually has some really cool songs. Not really
Nice.
score, but the songs are quite fun.
The score, Mike again, Michael Giacchino, Thor: Love and Thunder, and Lightyear. Both his scores for those are great.
I really like the Lightyear. There's one track in Lightyear that I really, really like.
I love that. Nathan Holton, do you believe the Robert Downey Jr. rumors in Armor Wars and Secret Wars? Armor Wars, no. Secret Wars, I don't necessarily believe the rumors, but I also am not shocked if it officially comes out. It's going to be there because it's Secret Wars. Like that's where you bring him back.
That's the
If you
point.
bring him back, yeah, yeah. Did you hear any of these?
No, but I hope they don't bring him back for. I don't know the full
No.
story of the Secret Wars. I know the premise, but I don't know fully what happens or not, or what they're going to do in the MCU.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm always scared that they're going to bring them back more for more time that they should, maybe.
I agree. Thoughts on Diego Luna and Asa Gonzalez? Fantastic Four rumors. Well, I tweeted about the Diego Luna rumor specifically. If it's true, and he has not confirmed it, no one has confirmed it. If it's true, we've hit the jackpot for our Reed Richards. He's certainly not. I've said this repeatedly. He's not my choice, but this is a sort of inspired casting that lets you know we're in good hands and we're in for a treat.
Yeah,
The Isaac Gonzalez, I'm not as excited because it just doesn't seem like a fit. A few months ago, there was a rumor that she was going to be the new Elektra in the Devil show, and I look at that and I'm like, that's
that's a
perfect.
good casting. Yeah,
Yeah, right? That's
that's a
incredible
good casting.
casting. She's an amazing actress. I love her. I would let the woman step on me. I just don't see her as a fit for Sue Storm personally. Um, I once sat very close to her, by the way, on the world premiere for The Wheel of Time. She was sitting like 2 rows in front of me, but very close in terms of seats. So that's a fun story. But yeah, Diego Luna, all in. If he is our Reed Richards, but if not, well, it's okay. How about
Someone
you?
else will be.
Someone else.
I wouldn't mind Diego Luna, but like you said, it wouldn't be my first choice. But let's see. Well, we still have to figure out if John Krasinski is or isn't.
Yeah,
They
that's true.
haven't they haven't confirmed
I'll
or
believe
denied
he
it.
isn't when they announce whoever else is.
They haven't confirmed or denied it. But
Yeah,
I don't know. But I mean, if there's one thing that no one can accuse Marvel of doing wrong is the casting. I mean, so far every main hero, I
yeah,
think they've been near perfect or perfect casting. So again,
exactly.
even the CU, which has all of the other issues, I don't think they. Well, there's one casting in particular that we all know that didn't work out.
Yeah, but
But
to be fair, it's not that that person is a bad actor.
yeah,
Yeah,
me too. But again,
just external problems.
exactly,
A lot of external problems.
way too many.
um, too many. Lady Aaron, with Avatar 2 just recently surpassing 1 billion at the box office, do you think it will surpass its predecessor sometime in 2033 or not? We went over it a
Already
little
answered,
bit.
yeah.
I'm not counting on it, but I'm not counting it out either. Um, Nathan Holton, do you think we will ever get a Jumanji 3 or 4 in this case? I would be shocked if we don't, because the first one is a success. The second one also a success. I believe I'm going to check as you give your thoughts on this, but I believe the second one surpassed Welcome
The
to
first
Jungle at
one,
the box office.
I
What do you
actually
think?
don't know, but I really liked the both films. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be surprised if they don't do 10 more. I just because
I feel about them. I feel about them essentially the same way that I feel about the Ted movies. Like the first one is the better movie, but the
yeah,
second one for me has the bigger laughs.
probably. I'd have to rewatch them, but I'm a sucker for whatever Seth MacFarlane does. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so no, they did not. Okay, so the first one had a budget between 90 and 150 million, and it made, this is insane. It made $962.5 million. The second one had relatively the same budget because it also says between
uh-huh.
125, between 132 million dollars budget. So there, because this is all estimates, and then it made 801.7 million. So it did not do as much as the first one, but
Mhm.
it still very comfortably made its money back.
Yeah,
Um,
they should be able to do
so
a third one and
yeah,
still have a lot of success. So I
exactly.
am expecting,
Um,
and there are no duologies anymore. Everyone does it. Either you do one or you do three at least.
exactly, exactly. Let me just catch myself. Jumanji 3. Are you excited for Insidious 5? Not really. Like I said, I didn't hate Insidious 4, but I don't know. Again, it's like Puss in Boots, and I was wrong about Puss in Boots. Like, it's way past the expiry date. You got Patrick Wilson coming into his directorial debut, I believe. So I don't know. It's not like he's directing a major blockbuster. It's not like he's doing a Simon Kinberg and just jumping straight to the top as his directorial debut. But I'll check it out. But right now, I'm not even curious. I'm just very indifferent. At least until I see a trailer or something. How about you?
Kind of the same. I think I'm a little bit more excited just because I feel like I rewatched when the Insidious movies came out. I actually didn't watch them, so I only catched up with them a few years ago, and I was actually surprised that I wasn't interested in them beforehand. Um, so I actually don't know how I feel. I actually when I did I didn't know it was coming out. When I did my list, I was like, oh, Insidious 5 is coming out, and
Yeah,
my reaction was a positive one. So I feel like I'm invested on it, and it's always an excuse to go back and rewatch movies, which I always like
that's
to
true.
do.
I'm gonna need to rewatch it. I only watched them for the first time when four was about to come out, and I wanted to
Mhm.
review it. And so I went to watch them. I didn't care for the first one. I really enjoyed the second one, and the third one is also it's all right. So yeah. Lady Aaron, did you guys get a chance to see the Oscar shortlist? And if so, what are some of the biggest surprises? Some of the huge notable snubs that you guys saw on the shortlist? I don't know. The only one I remember is Batman being snubbed for support. That's the only one that stuck out in my mind. I don't remember like what missed visual effects or anything. Like it's gonna be Avatar. Why do we care who else is nominated? It's
Exactly.
Avatar who's gonna win. Um, so yeah, like off the top of my head, I just remember why isn't the Batman score in this? So, yeah. How about you?
I also don't know. I saw a tweet about something regarding the shortlist for either Best Picture or one of the main ones, and someone mentioned a movie that got snubbed that I agree shouldn't have gotten snubbed, but I don't remember which. So
Yeah.
I don't know if when are the nominations announced?
It's I don't remember the exact date, but it's always the end of January, so
Yeah.
23rd,
Okay.
24th, around there. What do you think was the movie of 2022 that divided the film community the most, with people either loving it or hating it? Oh, it's Thor: Love and Thunder. 100% Thor: Love and Thunder.
Either Thor: Love
Yeah,
and Thunder.
surprisingly, Glass Onion is doing a bit of that, um, slightly, but the people and I'm not saying this is like 100% objective and factual. Like who I'm finding like on Twitter saying that Glass Onion isn't good, it's not the kind of people I like to be involved with. Let's just say that it's not the kind of people whose intelligence I value or consider. So let's just keep it that way. Uh, but yeah, Glass Onion is doing a little bit of that, but for me, it's definitely Thor: Love and Thunder. Like
That
far.
that's the thing. I don't know. This kind of connects to what we were talking about earlier. Like we don't know nowadays. You can't really get what the general consensus is when it comes to audience because you don't know if everything is being boycotted or if there are movements from people. I mean, Rings of Power. I generally don't know if most people. I do feel like most people enjoyed it, but I don't know for sure because you don't know. With Glass Onion, I shared my thoughts on it, and this guy comes and calls it woke garbage, and I'm like, woke garbage? Why? Like I was genuinely curious, like why is it woke? And the guy starts talking like, oh, the white characters are all douchebags, and I'm like, everyone's a douchebag in the film. Why do you look like? I don't know. So there are a lot of people that look at it like that, and
Yeah,
and then the comments continued, and then obviously he's a Ryan Johnson hater because he did The Last Jedi. So people are still upset for things that happened 5 years ago, and they react negatively to other movies. It's very hard to know nowadays
yeah.
how the
I
audience
mean,
really
which is
thinks.
not that question from earlier about what movie 2023 is going to be the most controversial. Like, so hard to answer. But Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is going to be the most controversial come the end of the year. You'll see. I'm
I don't
putting the
know
hammer down. I don't know why. I'm
if
not going to predict that,
if
but
if
that's my
one
bold prediction.
if one of the actors or or the director or whatever just says one little sentence that someone takes out of
Yeah,
context, it's
exactly.
over. That's it. It's over. You're gonna
Well,
have a
we did
boycott.
forget an obvious one. Just came to mind. Um, I said The Little Mermaid. You said
Barbie.
Oppenheimer. No, I don't think so. But Flash. Flash is gonna get a ton
Oh,
of controversy around it.
that's true.
Justified this time.
Yeah,
Little
but
Mermaids, unjustified. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah, this is gonna be a fun press tour leading up
funny.
to the film.
I
I'm
mean,
very, I'm very curious.
you don't know for sure if the Flash is going to come out or not. So
I mean, it's gonna be called Batman Flashpoint by the time it comes out.
yeah, maybe you never know.
Yeah. Um, for your upcoming best movies of 2022 lists, Renan and Manuel, in this case, was it the hardest list that you had to think about, or was it easy to decide your best list this year? It was neither easy, but it wasn't the hardest either. One thing that definitely helped was that this year because I created late last year, I had a Letterboxd. So throughout the year, I was always updating every time I watched the movie. I was always updating how it ranked in my best and worst list and all that. Um, so it was easy, like, to just keep track and just adjust here and there to know that I was confident in how they were placed for the majority of the year. But it wasn't easy because it's always, that's why I did a top 12 because, like, "Oh, no, these 2 movies deserve to be on this list, blah, blah," but there's only 10 spots, and as much as I have 2 very controversial opinions, 2 very unpopular opinions, those movies make me feel the way they make me feel, as I explained in the video you'll watch later. So yeah, it's never easy, but it wasn't, like, the hardest either for me. How about you?
It's always hard for me to do top tens, just because weirdly enough, this year my top five was very easy. But then the rest, I that's why I increased my list from 10 to 15 because I was like, I probably switched number 6 through 10. I think every film went through every spot, you know. And I just like I have to do the top 15 because I don't want because even my honorable mentions of now with the top 15, if I did a top 10, I would have to drop some of those honorable mentions, and I was like, but I want to like give an honorable mention to this one.
Yeah,
So, but it's
like,
always hard
for
for me to do these lists.
for me, the middle of the list, it's like, these are the spots, but, like,
Spot on.
12 through 8, I was constantly, like, adjusting
Yeah.
it, and I'll tell you right now, I do not say this in the video, but my number 1 and number 2, I would have gone from 4.5 to 5. Well, this is on Letterboxd. I would have gone from A's to A plus, and they're interchangeable. Honestly, I went with the order I went with, but they're
Mhm.
honestly interchangeable, and they belong somewhere in my all-time favorite movies.
You didn't give
Um,
an A plus this year, did you?
I did not give an A plus this year, but if I
Or
could
the
go
last
back,
one?
there's two A plus. Did I not give an A? I gave an A plus in 2021, I believe.
Which
I'm not
what
sure. I
was
would
it?
have to go. I would have to go back.
Fair enough. You don't remember your
I
number one of
I
2021?
no, no, I did not give an A plus in 2021. I did not give an A
Mm.
plus in 2021.
You're even tougher than I am. I gave one last year for the father, but I
That's
have
fair.
given a
That's
lot
fair.
of A's and A minus. This year I gave a lot of A's and A minus, so a lot of movies. And again, I look back, I feel like that's one of the resolutions for 2023. Maybe you know that moment where should I give it an A plus for this or not? And then
Mhm.
sometimes you go on the no, I'll give it an A. Maybe next year I'll be more light-handed.
But yeah, there's two A plus I would have given this year, and that's my number one and my number
Number
two,
two, yeah.
and you'll see what it is later today. It's almost done. I'm already editing on the fourth position, and it's actually going to be much shorter than my
You
worst
expected?
list. I had
Oh,
so
okay.
much trouble recording it for some reason that a lot of the entries I'm really fast talking about it, but I don't feel like I left anything to be said, honestly. So yeah. So we did this one. Do you guys have plans to celebrate the coming of the new year? And if so, what will they be? If you are allowed to say what it is. Also, to make resolutions for a new year, what did they be? I do not make resolutions. I do not believe in new year, new me. I think if anything, it's new year, improved you. And you should always look to improve yourself. Self growth. Um, as far as what I'm going to do, so I'm just going out with friends. Well, not out. I'm going to go to a friend's place and we're going to party there. Yeah, that's it. Very modest, but that's what I like to do. How about
Yeah,
you?
fair enough. This year I'm with family because every year, every 2 years we're all together because my brothers have like foreign wives, so which means that one year we're all together, the next year we're not, next year we are. This is the year where we're all together, so this year is with the family and just usual Portuguese stuff, a lot of food, a lot of drinks, and
Nice.
go to our cousin's house and celebrate there, and yeah, that's it.
That's cool. Um, because you love Babylon, what would you say is your favorite part of the movie, and also the best piece of dialogue in the film, and why? Um, there's no favorite part. The entire thing is it comes together and it's complete. It's robust. It's immense. Like if I just single out a single part, it makes me feel like I'm saying everything else. It's not quite up there, and like the whole thing is is a singular piece. Um, but one of my favorite moments is like the finale of that film. The final scene is it gives you goosebumps. It makes you cry. It makes you it's so much.
Everything.
This film is so much, guys. But my favorite lines of dialogue is right at the beginning and then it's recontextualized at the end. And it's I'm not even going to tell you who the character is, but it's a character that says, "Ain't life grand?" They say it at the beginning of the film. You have the entire journey of the film, and then they say it again, and you just think back on the entire film you saw and realize how fucking sad that life is. So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite lines, if not my favorite. Um, Lady Aaron, since I know that you guys have the most anticipated movies of 2023 just coming, what are some 2023 movies that are not looking forward to in any way and why? I think I answered this question last year, but there's not the not looking forward movies in 2023. To be honest, there's just movies I'm very much looking forward to, and then there's just ones I'm neutral at all. Like I don't think about which ones I'm not actively looking forward to personally. But do you have any?
Not really. I think I'm with you. Like, I don't think there's one that I'm like, oh, because if there's a film that I'm like, I'm definitely not into this at all, I'll probably not watch it, unless everyone else is like saying great things about it. If there's one movie that I'm like, I think this is going to be terrible, unless it's a big release, I'll probably skip it. I don't know. But I think I'm like you. I don't think there's a movie that I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch this. I don't know. I was checking the list or check if something came to mind, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Lydia, what was the video in 2022 that you made on your channel that you were most proud of, and why? Uh, Babylon is one of my best, if not my best, review I've ever made. The reviews at Venice, like in general, The Whale is my most watched video, so I'm very proud that that did as well as it did. Very proud of all those reviews. The Fablemans is a really good review as well. Um, so yeah, but Babylon, maybe because of recency bias, but I'm so fucking proud of that video. Um, and what was the video of 2022 that you made on your channel that made you disappointed? Uh, none. Honestly, there are videos I'm disappointed are not getting the views they deserve, sure, but nothing that I made and looked at it and thought it wasn't good. If I thought it wasn't good, I wouldn't put it out. Obviously not video, but do you have any like piece of writing that fits either of these categories or both?
It's so weird. There's one specific, well, there's one article that I did that it was the first time that I did something like that, which was I mixed two movies that people wouldn't mix together, which
Mm,
was Don't Worry, Darling, and you already know
that was a good piece.
Don't Worry, Darling, and Crimes of the Future, which were two movies that came out at different times, but I saw them like in less than 24 hours, and I just noticed similarities that I've thought were interesting in exploring. So that was a different kind of article that I did that I'm really proud of. When it comes to reviews, there's one that I have on the tip of my tongue that it was probably the longest that I wrote this year, but I don't remember which one it was. It wasn't for Everything Everywhere, but I don't know. I'll have to check it. Uh, so weird. I promise it's on the tip of my tongue, but let's move on. If I remember, I'll say something.
All right. Final question for 2022. What would you say was the best moment to happen in your personal lives for 2022, if you are even allowed to say them and if you feel comfortable with sharing them? Gonna sound real sad, but I don't have a particular one that stands out. It isn't like super sad. I just said it's going to sound real sad, but I don't really. On my personal life, I don't have like a particular one that's like, oh yeah, that moment. Yeah,
You went to
it's just
Venice.
very.
It's part of your personal life too. Yeah.
Sure. I on the personal side, I look at it as I went to Italy for the first time, and it was Venice.
Oh, okay.
But like the festival and all that, it's more of a channel thing, and obviously it involves me, so it's always personal, I guess. But still, I have to put it down in brackets and divide it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went on a holiday to Venice. Let's put it that way. Sure.
Exactly. For me, it has to be moving abroad to Sweden.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been much better than I expected. Everything has been going well, and I mean, knowing so many. I mean, Jesus, Everything Everywhere All at Once is my favorite movie of the year, and it deals with immigration issues and families too. And yeah, I'm happy and very lucky and privileged to be able to change countries and not have a fraction of the issues that many other people have, maybe. And everything has been, at least so far, fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been great, and that's, I mean, undoubtedly the biggest change in my life, and so far it's been going well. So far so good.
All right, and it's gonna keep going that way in 2023.
Yeah.
Sodium. Hey guys, hope you had a great Christmas. You as well. May Jason David Frank rest in peace and may the power protect him. Are you excited for Soul of the Dragon Ren? I am curious because I'm not sure what it is. Because for the longest time, I thought it was a Power Ranger thing that they were doing out of their own volition, like this fan project, fan financed that they made all on their own. But it's not Power Rangers thing, even though it's got a ton of Power Rangers actors. The suit for the White Dragon is very much a Power Ranger suit. I don't know what to expect, and I don't really know when it's coming out, how it's coming out, if I'm going to have a chance to watch it. But I hope I do. If I get access to it, I will be watching. It's going to have a tinge of sadness now for obvious reasons. Nathan Holton, when do you think Ferrari will release? This year. I don't know when it's supposed to release, so I don't know when we should expect it. Do you have any idea? Any thoughts? Do you even know what Ferrari is? 'Cause I'm looking at
exactly. I didn't get the question.
It's about obviously Ferrari, the guy who made the cars, and directed by Michael Mann and starring Adam Driver as Ferrari himself.
Adam Driver as Ferrari. I'm sorry, it's just too funny.
It is.
Because of the name, I don't know. Sorry.
GKP, what are you guys' thoughts on race bending a popular character with the whole thing with Little Mermaid and even rumors with Isaac Gonzalez, Diego Luna? I think it's an interesting discussion. For me, while I'm all for representation in film, I get it comes down to who's the best actor for the role, but sometimes I can understand how to find how for some find it pandering if there's no reason to change a character just to get a certain audience to come and see it feels pointless to do it. Like how people say the A-Force scene in Endgame was pandering to the female audience to just scream, "Yes, Queen." Well, in all the many screenings I went to Endgame, all 12 of them, no one ever yelled, "Yes, Queen." Because honestly, it wasn't the thing yet back then. Um, but funny enough, I had this conversation yesterday. I had a friend. We were talking about Disney movies. We went to the live action, and then we went to Little Mermaid. And this is a girl who grew up with Little Mermaid, and they just happened to say, "I don't really agree that um,
They should change
they
the.
swapped
Yeah.
Little Mermaid." And I, not confrontational or anything, I just asked, "Why?" open to a conversation, and we had a conversation, and essentially it comes down to this. At this point, and it's gonna have more going forward, Hollywood has a 100-year history of erasing color on screen. I don't mean literal color, I mean skin color. People of color, whatever color, they are marginalized and have continued to be marginalized for years, and there's a continuous systemic issue of this repeating itself. John Wayne played Genghis Khan. A ton of people painted their faces brown to be on screen, pretending to be black characters. The original West Side Story is all Caucasian actors painted with brown face. That's just not right. And on very beneath the surface, Babylon discusses this very thing, how Hollywood has kept on erasing people of color and not told their stories. And this is why representation matters. Because if you do not get representation, you get the same stories told by the same voices over and over again. And cinema is very much the art of storytelling is very much supposed to be the opposite of that. You need new voices, you need new people telling these stories and remixing these stories that we know to make it feel fresh, to make it feel unfamiliar, to make it feel new. And that only happens if you allow everyone in, if you allow everyone to see themselves reflected on screen. When it comes to race bending characters, if the race is not an essential part of what makes them who they are, what makes us like them, makes them compelling as characters, then you can change the race however you want. Um, Reed Richards has never been defined by being a white guy. I mean, it is important that he's a white guy if you tell a story in the '60s, if you want to put him on a certain social stature. But unless you want to play it up as an idealized world where racism doesn't exist or is not as bad as it really was in those times, then sure. But essentially, you don't have to have Reed Richards as a white character because he was never defined to be a white man. When I think Reed Richards, I think the little white patches. I think how he's the most endearing father and husband that can be, but he's also the most dangerous most dangerous man in any room he is in. He's the most intelligent man in the universe. He's obsessive. He's possessive. He's controlling. Um, he's all these things, and very, very down the list, I will say that he also happens to be white, and that's it. Batman, I think, is an important character to be white because he comes from a position of privilege. Black Panther, obviously, I think it's very important that he is black. But other than that, like Pedro Pascal as Joel, he looks exactly like Joel. He just happens to be a Latino. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to complain about it. But yeah, I feel like it's a matter of seeing everyone reflected on screen. And if the race of a character doesn't matter, then we shouldn't care about it. What do you think? I think I went on too big a diatribe. Oh, I'm not hearing you.
Sorry, I pressed the mute
Oh,
button and I
there.
forgot to unmute it. No, I was saying that I fully agree with you. Yeah, you said everything right, in my opinion. I was going to pick up on something you said, which was about Reed Richards. You would have like a bunch of characteristics, and right at the bottom, you'll be like, oh, yeah, he's white too. And that's kind of how I judge when they switch characters. Doesn't matter if it's from skin color or sex, it doesn't matter. If they change it, my thought was that important for the character? And I don't believe in anyone if they tell me, oh yeah, if I go to someone and say, write me the 10 characteristics that you think are the most important in The Little Mermaid, the ones that mean the most to you. If I highly doubt someone would put white in the first 10 points. They would say, in terms of physical appearance, they would say
A
maybe
hair.
the hair, the red hair. That's something that I understand if people get upset if they change because that's an iconic look. That's fine. But why, since when is the color of her skin important for the development of her character or the story or anything? It doesn't have anything to do. So
You don't root for her because she is white.
exactly. I mean, some people apparently do, otherwise they wouldn't complain
Yeah,
now. But
true.
that's the thing. It's there's a difference in between changing the color of a character, the skin color of a character, and just doing that, or changing the skin color of a character that for whom the skin of a color is inherently connected to their culture, to their upbringing, to their character per se, like to what they do, what they like, to the people that they hang out with, where do they go, how do they talk. It's like they said, if you replace Black Panther with a white character, what was the example that you
Batman.
gave before? Batman with a
Batman.
black character, you'd be like, well,
You can adjust
but
it, but it's not Bruce Wayne
but
anymore.
that's the thing. You would have to adjust the whole backstory. You would have
Exactly.
to adjust the story because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. A lot of people
Yeah, you
use
have to
the
adjust defining fundamental
a lot of people
characteristics that make them who they are.
yeah, a lot of people use the Pocahontas example, and it is a good. That's one of the
It's a
arguments
good
that I
example, yeah.
no, but it's one of the arguments that I hate the most when the other people use it to say something like, "Oh, they changed Little Mermaid. Oh, now we're gonna change Pocahontas and make it white too." That's not the same thing. It's not the same scenario because color,
Pocahontas was the exception.
the skin color in Pocahontas is vital to their character because it doesn't make sense that
And the
she's white.
story, like it's the whole point.
Exactly, it's the whole point. And with the Little Mermaid, first of all, we're talking about a mermaid. It's a mermaid. They don't exist, or
Yeah,
at
what
least
my friend yesterday was like, "Oh, because she's supposed to be Danish," and I'm like, "No, she's not.
it's a mermaid.
Mermaids are not Danish." And they were like,
That's
"Oh."
look. I can say like just an
What
quick
I'm
off
saying
topic.
is, I
Yeah.
ended racism last time. I'm
No,
kidding.
but
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
a quick off topic. It's true. Like we have at least I don't know about other countries, but here in Portugal, if I ask you what's your idea of what's the color, the hair color of people in Sweden, what you're going to say? What do you say? What do you think women? What's the color of?
Probably blonde, dirty blonde.
Exactly. That's not true. But that's a myth that in Portugal, at least, it
You're
happens. Like,
calling me a
oh, you know.
liar?
But it is like it's kind of the stereotype that maybe many years ago, maybe that was the case, but now it changed, and but things kind of keep going, and that's kind of the same here. Like I don't get why people. I mean, I do get why people get upset. I mean, but you get channels on YouTube that have. There's one that I'm not going to even mention the name, but the
Please
last
don't. Do not give
the
them
la- I know, but the last like so each you have like 4 videos each row. So the last 12 to 16 videos are all about the same thing and all
Yeah.
about with those clickbait titles of this
And they get thousands of views. Come watch my
exactly like
channel instead of theirs.
name of show, name of movie is total disaster, woke disaster,
Yeah.
woke blah blah blah, and they have like a
And it's always
millions of
the
views.
googly eyes on the thumbnail.
Exactly, the Google eyes, and for stuff that have come out like months ago, or even not from this year. So I mean, that's what gets views nowadays. That's what
Those
get
are
people to
channels
talk.
that define themselves on what they hate.
Yeah,
And that's
and
how it should be. Define yourself by what you love. People don't know me because I don't know what movie do I hate. They don't know me because I hate 365 Days. They know me because I love Babylon, because I love
no.
Thor: Love and Thunder, because I love the sun. That's what people know me as.
Yeah, it is too. I only hate probably two, like deeply hate two movies in my life. One is Dragon Ball Evolution,
Okay,
which
okay, nice.
like I only use
Worst
like
movie of all time.
I only use the hate word for things that really like hurt me personally, which is Dragon Ball Evolution and Sia's music, just because
Mm,
it connects,
good
it
shout.
talks a lot about the autism community and all that, and it's such a
That was
I'm
bad. That was
I
really
it's
bad.
such an offensive and just wrong. There are movies that are enlightening and informative. That was the opposite of it, and it's just connected to a part of my family, and
I don't.
I
I don't
couldn't.
remember if it is autism, but I believe it is. So correct me if I'm wrong. If you do remember as well,
Mhm.
but Midnight Special, the kid
I
was
don't know.
autistic. That was a really good movie that I was about to say, like, that's a movie that handles autism really
Uh-huh.
well, but I don't remember if the kid is autistic in the movie.
There's one horror movie that I really like too, which is Come Away. Come Away? I think it's Come Away, which the kid is autistic and the monster comes from the phone. It's like a shadowy thingy. But
Okay.
I liked. Some people don't like when they use like I guess, handicapping things or mental health issues. I mean, something. When they use some sort of health condition to try and empower the character as it's like a superpower, and some people don't like. It's a fine line,
Which I felt was what the Good Doctor did, the show, and maybe they've gotten better because it's a
Yeah.
show. But
But that movie,
when it started, I was like, "Ew, this is."
but that movie, if someone is interested, Come Away is a really nice horror movie. Just
It
because,
might be a different title because I just searched and Come Away is like this fantasy film with Angelina
really, oh
Jolie and
yeah,
David Oyelowo.
oh, it's not. I might be
Uh,
confusing. It's not Come Away. Oh, what's the name of the film? God damn it. Continue. I'll go to
yeah,
Letterboxd.
you can search it while I read the next question. Hang on, I lost myself. The next one is from Sodium. Hang on. All right. Am I the only one who finds it strange people say Thor: Love and Thunder is too comedic when, in my opinion, the same can be said about the Guardians of the Galaxy films? Don't hate me, but I personally prefer Thor: Love and Thunder over both Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Same. Um,
Wow, that's a
I
strong statement.
prefer, well, not most. I prefer two of the Thor movies over the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. No,
I,
I completely agree. Like you're preaching to the choir right now. I like forget Guardians. I don't know how you say Thor: Love and Thunder is more comedic when you have when you have Ragnarok there. Ragnarok is a film that does not care about its characters, does not care about its arc. Just feels very sporadic in its story. Doesn't feel concrete. Doesn't feel focused. I feel about Thor: Love and Thunder the way many people are now describing RRR. A lot of people are now watching RRR. I saw it months ago. It's like it's all right. It's okay. It's a movie that jumps between action to musical to very heavy drama to comedy to story about friendship to traumatizing war movie that's about colonization in India. There's lashings, there's bloody fights, there's a guy jumping out of a truck with a ton of animals in the back, and then there's guys dancing with their suspenders out in a party where they've just been accused of being lesser than a dog by racists who are colonizing their country. And yet, everyone fucking loves that movie. And I'm here talking about Love and Thunder. That's a film that has so much sincerity, so much honesty, that is so dedicated to the emotion of its characters and their arcs. And there's certainly, as much as I love it, there's certainly flaws. We should have seen God Butcher do some God butchering. Uh, absolutely, I do not disagree. And the humor certainly is more outrageous. Certainly, the humor is more out there. It's just Taika Waititi swinging for the fences. So I get the humor specifically not hitting for everyone, but it's undeniably bursting with heart. It's a film that wears its heart on its sleeve, much like the director Taika Waititi does it with all of his non-blockbusters, with Jojo Rabbit, with um, Hunt for the Wilder People, with What We Do in the Shadows, which two movies I don't really love, honestly, but like. Um, so I really don't get the hate for Love and Thunder. It's Love and Thunder. It's not hate and thunder, guys. Come on. What are your thoughts on this?
I also don't get the hate for Love and Thunder, but I do think Ragnarok is better than Love and Thunder, and I do get some of the points that people make about maybe being. I don't think it's too comedic. It's just that some people connected more with some jokes on the first film than in the second one. Sometimes it's as simple as that, you know.
I
I
just
would
feel Love and Thunder takes itself and the characters and the story way more seriously than
It
Ragnarok.
does, and it does, and I don't even think. I mean, I think that's like. I mean, obviously, it's always everything is subjective, but I do think that's kind of a narrative kind of characteristic. You either like it or not, and
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly. Like that's the case with
Yeah,
Love and Thunder and Ragnarok, but whether that's a good or a bad thing, that's
it
entirely
depends on you. Yeah, but I do agree that. I mean, wait, do you prefer Volume 2 or Volume 1?
two.
Guardians. Really?
Two.
Oh, you're one
I
of
think
those
we talked
people.
about this. Like this was one of our first like
Yeah,
big, not big
those
discussions.
debates.
Like we were having fun, but
Yeah,
this was one time I posted and we were like, "Wait, what? You prefer two?" Yeah.
exactly. There are people who prefer. There are two types of people in the world. either you'll
Those who
either you
prefer volume
prefer.
two and those who are wrong. I'm kidding.
But yeah.
um,
By the
yeah.
way, the film was called Come Play, not Come Away. Come Away is the
Come
fantasy
play.
thing that
Okay.
you said. Come
It
Play.
does sound creepier. It does sound creepier.
It does.
Um, all right. Dominic Scott, will you do a live stream reaction to the DC presentation of their 10-year plan? If there's like a live stream of it, a proper presentation, like the back in 2020, the Disney Investors Day presentation, which was so awesome. I need them to do that again. Yeah, I'm down to it. Like depends on time because I'm European. Time zones are always tricky, but I'm open to it. I didn't know they were supposedly doing like a big presentation. I just assumed they were going to throw it on Twitter. But if they do a presentation, yeah, I'm probably going to do a reaction. Um, what are the types of movies you can't stand? For me, I could say comedies that relies on obnoxious frat boy humor, but also films that are so self-indulgent and love in themselves, act like they much more meaningful and thought-provoking than they really are. Uh, so you don't like Blonde either. I'm happy to hear that. um, comedies that are not funny are the worst kind of movie. Um, it's kind of the you have one job, and they fail at it. Another one, and again, Morbius is not my worst of the year, but like conveyor belt movies, movies that have no heart, no passion, no flair, that they feel like they came out of a machine. They feel like they were written and they were executed by an AI and not by a person, not by a storyteller who understands the craft, not by actors who are passionate about this material and just sleepwalk through the film. Which sometimes you don't blame actors because you look at a script and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing probably. So yeah, but those like are like the two for me that are. And yeah, my number one worst movie of the year. It's the worst kind of that film. Um, yeah, how about you?
I think the worst kind for me are the ones that have nothing that make me leave. Yeah, it's one of those the typical phrase of I rather watch a bad movie than a movie that leaves me indifferent or that doesn't do anything for me. I guess that's kind of the worst kind of movie for me. Those ones that I watch it, and as soon as I leave it, I'm like, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to think about. I don't have anything to do.
Yeah,
And I forget it
those
like
are just sad.
minutes after. That's kind of like, then why did I watch it? Because at least a terrible film, as terrible as it might be, it creates some sort of reaction or it generates some sort of emotion, even if it's bad. But those like so middle nothing movies are kind of the ones that on insight they kind of I guess impact me the most when it comes to not remembering them. They're
Yeah,
so they don't do anything remotely remarkable that you forget about them. You
yeah,
forget that they were released in 2022 or 2021 or whatever they were, and you just move on with your life. And maybe a few years from then, people ask you, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" And it did so little to you that you might actually answer, "Oh, actually, I don't think I've seen it," because you don't remember it.
yeah. That's fair. Uh, Dominic Scott, any physical media pickups recently? On Christmas and around Christmas, I was given. I didn't buy it, but I was given. Um, It Chapter 2, which I didn't have, Godzilla King of the Monsters, um, and I was given the 8-year anniversary 4K Steelbook Collector's Edition of Casablanca, which is the greatest black and white movie ever made. Um, and it's awesome. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm very happy to be given that, given by my best friend on Christmas. So thank you, if she's watching. And I think I must have I think I bought something like right I bought Elvis. I bought the steelbook for Elvis as well, on Black Friday. Um, and other than that, that's it. Honestly, yeah, that's it. I think I have something I might have something pre-ordered, but yeah, right now, nothing else. How about you?
Nothing.
Alright. Um, Sodium, how did you rank the 4 phases of the MCU so far? For me, phase 2, at 4, phase 2, number 3, phase 4, number 2, phase 1, and number 1, phase 3. That's my exact ranking. That's my exact ranking, honestly. What about you?
Uh, I'd have to think about it, but I know Phase Three is obviously the first one, and then uh, I don't want to put Phase Two as the. I like every. I don't think there's a bad phase at all. And again,
Like,
the Phase Four gets way too much crap. But I do not put Phase Four at my least favorite. Um, but between Phase Two and Phase One, it's a tough thing because Phase Two has the some well as one of the worst films, or even the worst film of the MCU for me. But it also has like Winter Soldier, and
what's the worst movie in the MCU for you?
I always switch between Hulk and Dark World.
Oh, not
I'm very
what was the other one?
I'm very mainstream. Hulk and Dark World.
Dark World. Okay.
Uh,
Um,
I, I'm very mainstream in those two. I don't go. I don't have. I think that's the biggest unpopular opinion that I have about the MCU might be maybe Ant Man and the Wasp. It's one of the few films I haven't given a positive review for.
I haven't given any negative review in the entirety of the MCU, and it's very
Sorry.
watchable. I haven't given a negative review to anything in the
Ah,
MCU. At the very worst, they're watchable. So She-Hulk,
oh yeah. I
I
mean,
think it's
okay.
MCU.
Yeah,
So
Incredible
two and
Hulk.
a half. I went 2.5. I went like C, literal middle of the road, and Iron Man 2 would be my worst movie.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Negative. I think maybe only Hulk or Dark World, but
All right.
even Ant Man and the Wasp, I would give it like a C plus. But it was for a long time the only film that I haven't given a positive review for,
All
and
right.
that's kind of
Uh,
my biggest unpopular opinion about the MCU, which is to say a lot about the quality that I think about it. But just to answer the question, I would go maybe 2-1-4-3.
all right. Two. Yeah. So same. No, you put four ahead of one. Okay, so we switch only those.
Yeah.
Jacoby P, do you feel people are being hypocritical when they say Avatar is the antithesis, compare compared to the big blockbusters that come out today, like Marvel movies? Because for me, it's basically everything Martin Scorsese said about the Marvel movies. It's the theme park. You're along for the ride, maybe an experience to behold, but after it's over, it doesn't leave an impact on you emotionally. Well, the leaving an emotional impact, it's all subjective.
Subjective, yeah.
I definitely do not think I definitely think you're smoking crack if you think that's the antithesis to the Marvel movies, because it's like, this is very much what a solid, really enjoyable movie I'm going to own on my Blu-ray collection Marvel movie is like, or any other Marvel, DC, whatever kind of blockbuster. Avatar is exactly that. It's not the antithesis. um, but it's doing a lot of things that James Cameron wants to do, and I certainly don't think it's the 5 star, 4.5 star, 4 star
Yeah.
even movie that everyone is saying it is. I've seen it 3 times. I'm going at least two more to see it. Um, but I still haven't seen it in IMAX. Out of all the 3 times I would see it, certainly a good movie, but I don't think it's the antithesis whatsoever. It's got much more similarities than it has differences. How about you?
I mean, it is almost the definition of a blockbuster, so it couldn't ever be the antithesis. But uh, I mean, I also I think when Scorsese made those comments, it was more about the whole fandom kind of thing and the theater experience. I can't imagine, even though the same viewers who watch the Marvel movies are going to watch Avatar: The Way of Water, but they're not going into the Way of Water with the expectations and the knowledge that they maybe have from comics and the 10 plus years of content that Marvel has been releasing. So it's different, the emotional weight and all that. You go in already feeling something because you have 30 plus films before that. So with Avatar, you never get like people screaming off their chairs or whatever. But
It's true.
I guess
Maybe in
that's
the
kind
third
of
one.
the point. Yeah, maybe on the fourth or fifth one, you get people maybe screaming off their chairs. I don't know.
um, Chico P. Ren, what would you uh s- being in the Babylon fan club say to the critics who to you guys just don't get it? I don't think people just don't get it. Um, No, you know what? In this case, I'm going to say people just don't get it because I've seen people say it's sporadic and it goes all over the place when it's one of the most singly focused movies I've ever seen. It's doing a lot with its message. It's got this size, this scope that travels through years. But yeah, it's a singularly focused film that has a lot of layers to its message, that has a lot of layers to what it wants to say, and it's Giselle speaking on this loud megaphone, saying what he has to say in a bold, brash, loud way that shows his evolution as an artist within this corrosive system and culture that is Hollywood. Um, and again, fastest 3 hours of my life. If when I watched Babylon, if I had a chance to get out of the screening and go back in, I would have. I would have probably gotten out of there at 2 a.m., but still, I would have. All right, let me just. Okay, this is not in order. Um, um, Sodium, what is in your opinion the most overrated MCU movie, the most underrated MCU movie, and the most overhated MCU movie? Overrated Guardians of the Galaxy, underrated Thor, and overhated Thor: Love and Thunder. I think you just said all of mine. Um, Thor is the most underrated. Um, overrated Guardians. It's probably Guardians, but let me check. Overhated is definitely Love and Thunder for sure. Just because of the discrepancy of how good it is and how much hate it gets. Uh, do you have any that come to mind?
I'm thinking overhated. I might agree with you with Thor: Love and Thunder. Maybe Black Widow too. Although I don't know, I remember a lot of people it getting a lot of hate, and I don't think it deserves it. But I would maybe put actually Black Widow on underrated. And
All right,
overrated, I would say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
good shout. I
Or
like that.
or let me see if I can find. Oh, maybe underrated. I would probably also say underrated and overrated. Overrated, I would go Love and Thunder because I do think that, especially nowadays, people hate a lot more. But underrated, I would also put Age of Ultron actually.
Good shout. I would also add Doctor Strange, the first one, to the underrated pile.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Divination Scott. All the celebrities have passed away this year. Which one was the saddest news? We went over that.
People are really.
Sodium, do you think DC will ever get their act together? Because it seems like every week they're reworking themselves. It's true. I want to hope so. Look, right now, even though I don't agree with a lot of moves they're making, they're in a much better position to get their act together than they've ever been. You actually have a person
True.
on the commanding chair with the actual power to command. You actually have two of those people.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I don't know that they will, but they're in a much better position to do it than ever before.
Yeah. I agree. Ren, well, I have time for one more question, and then I have
All right.
to go.
Let's see. All right. Uh, Nathan Madigan, do you think All Quiet on the Western Front has an outside shot of getting Best Picture nomination? Have a happy New Year. Well, happy New Year to you as well. I think so. I'm not counting it out. I wouldn't bet on it, but I also wouldn't bet against it. I see it getting a nom over a ton of other things,
Which
honestly.
film? Sorry, didn't get it.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
It's my number fourth of the year, so I wish it would
Ah,
get more. I mean, I think it's clear that it's going to get a Best International Film nomination.
mhm.
I wouldn't mind it getting a Best Picture too, and maybe even either one of the technical ones. I don't think
Score.
it's going to get
I could see it
cinematography.
getting
Score, I
score.
wouldn't mind, but I think there are a lot of. I think there are better scores. Maybe I do enjoy the score a lot, but the score and cinematography categories are packed with a lot of great
That's true.
contenders. And but I don't know. I at least nominations. I wish it would have. I wish it gets more than just the best international film and maybe even best picture. But I think it deserves at least one or two technical nominations. But let's see. But I do want. It's one of those films I'm rooting for. a lot actually.
All right. You want to
Yeah,
tell how people can find you, where they can find you, what do you got
yeah.
coming up?
At MSP Reviews in all social media, from Instagram to Twitter to Letterboxd to everything you can imagine, except the new social media that people created when they thought Twitter is going down was going down.
Oh yeah, I didn't create those actually.
I also didn't do anything. And yeah, you can find my writings at either my website, mspreviews.com, or at firstshowing.net. And yeah, you'll be able to see me. I'm releasing I guess I can share the news now. I'm releasing a podcast this year, next year, with a dear
What?
friend, with a dear friend of ours. Excellent reaction that from someone who definitely didn't know this. With a dear friend of ours, and yeah, I'm actually going to record the episode next. So I have to
Ah, that's
leave.
why you gotta go.
That's
Okay.
why I have to leave. But yeah, and I'll cover Sundance in January, so you can look forward to that. And LFF definitely in October, I guess, and maybe even Venice. Let's see how time constraints work. So yeah, that's it.
All right.
That's all.
Have a happy and safe New Year, my friend. I'll talk
You
to you
too,
soon.
my friend, and thanks for having me. Have a great
Of
year,
course.
everyone, and I'll make sure to invade Ren's space once more
More
next year.
often.
Bye bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thanks.
All righty. And we only have one question now, one final question. So, Jico EP. I don't know why my voice cracked there, so let's do it again. Jico EP. Don't you guys find it funny how Ren and Zach view both Ragnarok and Love and Thunder in the opposite way from everyone else? It's not everyone else. We are few, but we are mighty. Um, People say Ragnarok felt more balanced with the humor not being too in your face. You have a literal moment where Thor throws a ball to a window and it knocks him out. Not knocks him out, knocks him down. Come on. It's a story where Thor is lost and doesn't care to go back home, doesn't care enough to go back home. And then it's also a story where he has to assume to be king. And it's a movie where Asgard gets destroyed. And immediately, instead of letting you absorb that emotional moments, you have Korg saying a joke. Oh, the foundations are still there. Oh, the foundations are destroyed. Um, that was definitely not the accent Korg has, but you get my point. There's nothing like that in Love and Thunder that you can point to that it destroys an emotional moment. Even the goats, all the emotional moments get a chance to breathe and linger, and mean something. Um, so yeah, and the emotional weight is always there because the characters actually matter, unlike in in Ragnarok. So yeah, I'm not going to go into a whole Ragnarok rant, as that was the last question. There was a question from Sodium about Robert Downey Jr., but we had to skip that because we've answered it. But I didn't miss anything else. I didn't miss any questions. So we did get to all your questions. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your questions. Thank you for supporting another year of podcasts, another year of reviews. If you still haven't seen the comic book movies rank, the animated movies rank, the honorable mentions shorts, or even the worst movies of the year list, those are all on the channel. Enjoy those with popcorn and with your family as you wait for the best movies of the year list to come out. It should be up in around, I want to say 2 hours, but it's going to be up today, later today, before I leave for my party, before all that. Thank you so much for this year. If you want to keep sharing the channel with your friends, if you want to keep sharing the video to see if we get some more friends for our community before the end of the year, getting us a little bit closer to 5K subscribers, I would really appreciate that. I always appreciate you. So I appreciate your questions. I appreciate you being here and spending a little bit of your New Year's Eve with me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week with Zach Pope. And so until the next one, have a safe and happy new year. And into 2023, continue to love each other and love the movies. Bye bye, everybody. See ya later.